was a night before Christmas, and all through the land, not a creature was stirring, not even in Dorner's sand, because we burnt the sweet bejesus out of that damn desert, didn't we, Visenya? No banners were hung in the castle so bare, in hopes that Nana Vagar's wrath they'd be spared. Them Dorners nestled all snug in their caves, with visions of their miserable lives being saved, but your Nana loves mischief even more than her naps, and Visenya had set her mind on sprigging their traps. When out on the sand there rose such a clatter, Balerion had found some foes on which to grow fatter. Away to the battle I flew like a flash. That's right, back in those days her Nana was a bit faster than she is now. They used to call me the Flash, and I roasted them Dornish to cinders and ash. Merry Christmas, everyone, except Dorn. I hate them.
We do not endorse Nana Vagar's racism here at the David Lightbringer channel. We disavow those offensive statements. Nana's from a different time, so you just kind of have to, Merry Christmas, everyone. Almost. We are going to have a Christmas Eve stream, but we're close enough. Tim, you have a Christmas hat on. You get to say hi first.
Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Do you know why Santa wears a pointy hat? We'll go to Sean. Unless you know, Tim.
I actually don't.
I know Sean knows.
I don't.
It's because Odin has a pointy hat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's literally the answer. So preview of Wednesday's stream on the screen right here. I made a patch face. I was going to do a Shamanism in a Song of Ice and Fire produced video for you guys this week, but I was sick and I did not have time to record it and edit it. So we're gonna do it live on Wednesday, Christmas Eve. It'll be 1 p.m. Pacific, so 2 hours earlier than our normal start times on Sunday. And Sean will join me, I think, for the second half of the stream. I've got a bunch that's scripted, and then we're gonna open it up and I'm going to draw on Sean's knowledge of the Wild Hunt and Harlequin and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So we're going to get down. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be good. And we'll say some stuff that somebody in the comments will get upset about, and I won't care. So today, we're here to talk about Tyrion, Winds of Winter, and maybe a little bit about Tyrion Targaryen videos, which little somebody has made. That was me. And yeah, that's what we're doing today. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I would appreciate it if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribed to these two jesters because they be doing some good material. Sean, in particular, has been working on a Christmas video. Haven't you, Sean?
I have. And I also got sick, and I'm really enjoying the drugs and energy drink. That's how we're going to get through this stream. That's the word of the day. But yeah, working on a Christmas Carol.
Wait, is that a t-shirt? I'm really enjoying the drugs and energy drink.
It might be. Let's get that on the merch store.
I'll forward it to the committee.
Oh God. That can't be what I'm remembered for. But yeah, it's I sat down to do a Christmas Carol, a chapter read, and a big long produced video. I figured it'd be like 25 minutes. It's looking like more like an hour. There was a lot more depth there than I thought I would find, and I didn't want to stinge on any of it. But yeah, I've been putting that together. I'm in the editing process. It's all filmed and everything, so I'm just trying to make it palatable, and I'm really excited. That'll be out. I'm hoping to finish that tomorrow night.
That's the same thing that happened to me, Sean. See, what had happened was I was like, I'll just do a quick 20-minute video on patch face and shamanism, and no, that was an hour. Scripted, at least. Tim, show off your shirt so you can fix your camera and we don't have a little stair step thing going on.
I'm just wearing Tyrion, so I went with my lion shirt, and I had my little lion, but he's over there eating now because
you fixed it. You fixed your camera the wrong way, Tim.
Oh,
there we go.
We want to get our heads on a level. Is the point? Hey,
I think you just want to draw off the shirt.
I can be taller than y'all a little bit. And yes, I cut my hair, and my facial hair is different because I've only got 1 month to look like Uncle Lionel, the cosplay. I got the antlers. He's got a big beard, Uncle Lionel does. So I've got to grow it out. I'm gonna pour the chia mix right on there, the chia pet mix. We'll see how that works.
I just figured you killed the mustache because you were sick of sneezing into it.
Nope. I keep it short enough to where it's not straining any soup or sneezes, and we got only a month. So obviously, Night of the Seven Kingdoms is coming out. We will be doing post-game streams like we always do for all Game of Thrones shows. You guys know. Let's start off by surveying the chat and the panel. How do you feel about Tyrion Targaryen? I'd like if you could tell me before and after is what I'm looking for. Like, did I move you at all? It could be from absolutely not to probably not, but maybe, or Dave, you've convinced me. Tim, I'll start with you.
Again, I stick to what I had said last time. I feel like we already have enough secret Targaryens, but I guess if we want to have if we have Varys and Fagon as our two secret Blackfires, Jon as our secret Targaryen, then I guess putting Tyrion on there kind of tips the scales, so we have a 2-2 match. But I love the idea that he is Tywin's biological son because of the immense hit to Tywin's pride that it takes to know that he is Lannister through and through.
So I was thinking about the Chimera option where they're both his dad. I do think that is the most. I think that's what's going on. But one thing I was reflecting on that thematically, Tim, to your point, was that it kind of makes Tyrion the product of Aerys and Tywin's like friction, of which Joanna is caught in the middle. Like Tywin didn't really protect Joanna. It doesn't seem like, and obviously Aerys is victimizing her, and so Tyrion coming out part Aerys and part Tywin, it's like, I don't know, that kind of works for me. Yeah. But
that I'm willing to concede to that, but I will not give that he is fully Aerys's. There is too much Tywin in Tyrion for him to not be partially Tywin's not just his son, but his biological son.
So if there was two Tyrions in the womb and one ate the other, which one ate which one, do you think?
Oh, it's like a Venture Brothers situation.
Did the lion eat the dragon, or
and
they can just merge? It doesn't have to be eating one or the other, but it just seems like that's more fun.
I think that would be a lion eating the dragon situation in there.
Hakuna Matata.
Dragons eat horses and lambs alike.
Dragons eat whatever they want. I heard that on a TV show one time.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to add other than the TV show. I will say that you did move me. I will not say I'm 100% on Tyrion Targaryen, but I will say that it was an absolutely not. And now it's, oh Christ, I don't know.
There's just an awful lot there, There's an awful lot there. To me, it's like, is there all this dragon stuff in there just because he's going to interact with these dragon characters, but he's not a Targaryen? To me, it's like there's too much for it to be explained that way, but, it's subjective. I was just trying to pile it all together so everyone could see and, make of it what they will. But it seems like I at least opened a lot of people's minds to it. And I have had some people say, oh, well, maybe he was going to do that earlier and then he went away from it. But, of course, as you see, especially in the second video, a lot of the evidence is in Dance with Dragons and the World of Ice and Fire. So if it is a thing, it's probably still a thing. And happy solstice, everyone. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Alexios.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up about it is just that the way that you're kind of portraying it as a chimera thing, and obviously chimeras are from Greek mythology, is that it is a very common occurrence in Greek mythology for the parent to be two people. For the father to be two people, where you have one father is the king of whatever city, so that whoever the hero is has a claim staked as crown prince or whatever. But it's also Poseidon, or it's also Zeus. So like Theseus, for example, his father is named Aegeus. It's what the Aegean Sea is named after. But his father is also Poseidon, who raised Aegeus. And it's like, okay, so he is a demigod, but he's also the son of a mortal man. And yeah, it's very confusing. But that's the point. And I don't know if George really has that idea of like, it has to be one of these things, or the confusion is the point, like in Greek mythology.
I was pretty excited about finding the Ares Tyr war god link. That stoked me. And one thing I forgot to say about, I might have mentioned this on the last live stream. Did I say the thing about the goat's head sometimes being a ram, which is the symbol of the constellation Aries? Okay, all right, never mind. All right, let's just read the chapter.
Really rammed it home.
All right, yeah. All right, thanks everyone. They did demonetize the first video because of one topless artwork of Shay 51 minutes into the video. So now I'm making $0 on Tyrion Targaryen Part 1. I even went back and blurred it out, and they're supposed to re-review it, but they didn't. Hashtag YouTube Complaint Corner. Thanks for watching is the point, though. That's the main thing. So, yeah. I will have the 3 false heads of the dragon video out on New Year's Eve. That's when that'll be out. So not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. And I think you guys are really going to like that one. So, yeah. Tim, you're going to like it too. It's full of apostasy. And between Stannis, Phaegon, and Euron, you can guess who's got the longest section and who I saved for the end.
Mm-hmm.
All gods are lies, but yours is pathetic. I love Euron. Anyway, it's Tyrion time. It's Tyrion time. So, does any other character in A Song of Ice and Fire discuss dragon dreams as much as Tyrion that isn't a Targaryen? No. The answer is definitely no. And the other thing that was interesting to me was how many different Targaryens Tyrion is compared to. It's like 5 or 6. So that's pretty fun. Yeah. So we are in Meereen. We're in the bay. Slaver's Bay, where there are dragons. Shout out Clay Thompson. And so that's what we're doing. We just did, what we did, Barristan last week? Yeah, it was Barristan, right? So he was charging the mangonels, the trebuchets. Trebuchet.
Yeah. The way it lined up is we did like all the Meereen chapters, one right after the other.
Yeah, it's well done.
Did that on purpose.
Now, the Lion King.
What we're trying to do is, get into the story. So the Battle of Ice and the Battle of Fire are going to be 2 of the big things that start off, and also the Battle of Blood, whatever the one at whatever Euron's doing at Old Town. We'll have to nickname it after we see what kind of monster he raises. So
I don't even think it'll be a battle. I think it'll just be more of like a terrifying massacre. But there you go.
So it occurred to me that we've been talking about how the Hightowers got that Sauron vibe. Glass candle at the top, Palantir at the top. What's Leighton and Malor doing up there? I finally came around to the idea that they are, in fact, working with Euron, doing the same thing that the Hightowers always do, which is throwing open the door and co-opting, and then maybe poisoning somebody later if they need to.
So Vichy Hightowers.
What's that?
Vichy Hightowers.
Yeah, that's them. And so maybe he's doing a Denethor thing. I think it'll be more like Saruman. But maybe the key thing is that when Euron gets to the top of the high tower, he's going to be Saruman. He's got the Eye of Sauron sigil. Obviously Saruman communing with Sauron through the Palantir. Sauron. So so the thing I was thinking of, Sean and Tim, was that Orthanc is black. It's a black. In fact, it's the inspiration for the fused stone, Orthanc.
Right.
And of course, Barad-dûr is also a black tower. High Tower is a white tower. Will Euron turn it black? So will he paint the White House black? Paint the White House black and brown. Y'all don't know that? It's George Clinton for your time.
So I think it's another take on George has put in a lot of song lyrics. Obviously, you've talked about Grateful Dead and stuff before. Marillion is a nice progressive rock reference. But Rolling Stones, I had a red door and I want to paint it black.
Yeah, I brought that up numerous times. Dany's red door.
I had a white tower and I want to paint it black, and that is what happened. It was it was originally a black tower. He painted it white. So,
yeah,
I prefer to think that he's quoting George Clinton. Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
The Battle of the Blackwater, I brought up the fire and ice imagery in the Battle of Blackwater is it's smoke on the water, fire in the sky, so it's a Deep Purple reference. Yeah, George loves to do that a lot.
And so the last thing I was thinking of was Minas Tirith, which started off white and was turned. It's hard to say what Tolkien is. He talks about corpse light and how it doesn't really give off light, but I don't know if the color was turned, but the light of the stone was turned. It's hard to say exactly what's going on with Minas Morgul, but the point is it was transformed. It used to be, I said Minas Tirith. No, it used to be Minas Arnor?
So what are we talking about here?
I'm talking about Minas Morgul. What was the original name? Minas Morgul.
Minas Morgul was originally
Minas Ithil, wasn't it?
Yes, Minas Ithil, and then the Witch King of Angmar took
Minus
it over.
the bear. No.
Yeah. No. We're in the woods. We chose the bear, but
Minus the bear is when Mormont gets mutinied.
But yeah, Minas Ithil was taken over by the Witch King of Angmar, which there's a lot of that in this story.
Yes.
Brienne mirrors that very closely. She's an even star figure. The Witch King of Angmar is an even star figure swinging a morning star. So she's an even star figure who's obsessed with a Galadon of Morn who had a blade like Dawn, So it's just, there's a lot of, and that's not the only character, but the point
and
is...
he may be doing that Dany Dragonbinder, no mortal man can blow it, but Dany's an immortal woman. Not immortal, but occasionally miraculous, supernatural woman, so... Yeah.
Right, well, and of course the Witch King is killed by Éowyn.
Right.
Who, Éowyn is, she's a woman fighting gender...
Eos.
Norms, and yes, Eos, just like her whole family doing morning things. So Morning Star defeats the Even Star, and it's all very on the nose. And just like George does when he's trying to create gray characters, he always takes the villain and the good guy and kind of combines them. So we have Brienne doing both of those things.
Were you gonna say something, Tim?
Oh, I was just going to say, Minas Morgul is Tower of Black Arts or Tower of Darkness, but Minas Ithil was Tower of the Moon. So, of course, the moon being overshadowed by darkness, that is that's more long night imagery that George is borrowing.
Yeah, and the whole idea of a shy where it's like everything is dim. I think he uses corpse light as a phrase somewhere. I forget where, but yeah, it's shadow fire. Similar ideas. The sunflowers are sick on the surcoat of one of Renly's Kingsguard right before he's killed. There's all that darkening the green, temple, a green castle symbolism and stuff. The 6 sunflowers are all green. Yeah, so basically, if we see the High Tower turned into a Black Tower, that would make a lot of sense. It would be very, follow a few Lord of the Rings precedents, and then it would really be like Orthanc, and all Euron's got to do is just put his sigil, his flag on the top. And, that's going to be cool. So we will, of course, do the Forsaken in a couple weeks. I think 2 weeks from now, we're going to do the Forsaken. Next week, me and Sean are going to do the Arya, the Mercy chapter, which is very disturbing, but very interesting.
Yeah.
And then in 2 weeks, we'll do the Forsaken, and we'll talk about the Battle of Old Town a little more. So
I won't be around next Sunday. My family's doing Christmas that day because Christmas Day, people are going to be in other spots. However, to make up for that, on Saturday the 27th, I will be streaming on my own channel in preparation for the Forsaken, because Dave has covered the Forsaken, but he's never done the Forsaken with me. And anyone who knows, if you've been around, whenever we do a Euron heavy chapter, I tend to go way out into the weeds and go a bit overboard. And this will be no exception. So in preparation for this, I want to talk about Lovecraft's dragons. So we are on the 27th. We're going to do another Mythos and a Song of Ice and Fire, where I'm going to cover the Festival. The Festival is a Lovecraft story. It is the first appearance of the Byakhee, which are the corpse dragons, and the festival in question is a Yuletide festival. So it is a Lovecraft Christmas story that introduces us to the Byakhee. So we will do we will read the festival live on the 27th on the Grey Waste Tim channel.
that sounds terrific. And the Grey Waste Tim channel is something you can, again, subscribe to at the link in the description below. Yes, and I will also remind you that if anyone needs a standing desk, I can sell you one, or at least I have a discount code for one, and you can find it on the Fire White Ghost video in the description. But I do have a very cool discount for you there. Or if you need some Raycon earbuds, those are on one of the Tyrion videos, and I can also give you a Mantis Sleep discount. So Merry Christmas if y'all need any of that. And Flexi Spot. That's the standing desk that I have.
The first Sunday of the new year will be the Forsaken, and isn't that just ominous?
Yeah, and I'm gonna do the 3 false heads of the dragon like the New Year's Eve. So it's just apostasy everywhere. The manta masks are super nice. I literally use it all the time. It's changed my life, honestly. Like, you just sleep so much deeper when you have the total blackout. It's not even funny.
He's actually doing a demonstration later on the stream with about 15 minutes left. He's just going to put the manta mask on and fall asleep while we're streaming just to show that he can.
It's either going to be that or grabbing another Red Bull. I can tell you that much.
Could be both.
Okay, Tim, me and Sean are both a little under the weather, so you're going to have to carry this, all right? Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. Let's not go a half hour before we read the chapter again.
We can. Yeah, no,
it's markers in the video. People, they'll live.
It's also too late. We're at 3:30, so it is time to start, though. Go ahead, Tim.
Somewhere off in the far distance, a dying man was screaming for his mother. "To horse!" a man was yelling in Giscari, in the next camp to the north of the Second Sons. "To horse! To horse!" High and shrill, his voice carried a long way in the morning air, far beyond his own encampment. Tyrion knew just enough Giscari to understand the words, but the fear in his voice would have been plain in any tongue. I know how he feels. It was time to find his own horse, he knew. Time to don some dead boy's armor, buckle on a sword and dagger, slip his dinted gray helm down over his head. Dawn had broken, and a sliver of the rising sun was visible behind the city's walls and towers, blindingly bright.
Okay, let me go ahead and pause you there, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn has broken, and then a sliver of the sun. Like, that's what dawn is. It's a sliver of the sun. It's a sun sword. It's a slice of it. I'm honestly dying to know what George is ultimately doing with this breaking dawn and stealing the dawn punnery. Like, is dawn actually going to break? The last hero's sword broke. Dawn seems like the replacement sword. So I'm not sure what the implication is, but the broken sword is everywhere. The Second Sons, their sigil is the broken sword. There's the Titan of Bravos has a broken sword. Ice was split into 2 swords. Sean, what do you think?
Well, the first thing, and we talked about this before, that you think of when you think about broken swords and them being, reforged or going and picking up the pieces, or just the fact that a broken sword is significant, is you always want to go back to Sigurd. Of the Volsungs. It's very famous, aside from being, a Wagner opera and all that. It's one of the most famous epic poems on earth, and every single fantasy author has read it. So, Aragorn and his broken sword are heavily based on Sigurd of the Volsungs and putting that sword back together. And so every time I see one of those, I think, okay, so this is Sigurd of the Volsungs. How is he using that? And my answer is usually that a sword was destroyed in the Long Night Opera in the way that we see it, with 2 forging attempts, which is also what happened with the sword in Sigurd of the Volsungs. You have the 2 forging attempts fail, and so that's what we're seeing. When we see a broken sword, it's one of the forging attempts. So every time we see one of them, like this is the Second Sons we're seeing, right? Mm-hmm. So when we see the Second Sons and we see Tyrion, who is a lion, you think of forged in the heart of a lion. When we see, you see it in a ton of different places, but I think of it as the forging attempts of Lightbringer. I think of it as attempted Azor Highs, attempted Last Heroes, and failures largely. So, I think it's meant to draw attention here to Brown, Ben, Plumm, and Tyrion.
That tracks. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, like when John mentioned Wagner, that made me also think, because we're getting a lot of Red Star imagery too, and we're going to see more of that in The Forsaken, of course, because the Red Comet is always something that we got to keep in the back of our minds. So when the sun is first rising, like very early in the morning, and it looks like a red star at first in the distance, then it becomes that blaring, blinding light. So then that reminded me of another orchestral piece, which is Mars, the bringer of war. You know, that's da 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 da, and that seems to be like the setup that's going on, especially here in this Battle of Fire. And now we're seeing, like, you see that with the Victarions chapter, you see that with Barristan's chapter, and they all converge here with Tyrion's chapter again, because we're doing the Meereen chapters one right after the other. We're seeing the crossroads George's setup all coming together by looking at these three characters and how they're going to intersect.
There's a lot of trumpets and war horns going on. War horns answering from the walls of Meereen. A ship was sinking in the river mouth of fire. Makes you think of the Blackwater Rush, where the river mouth was afire. Dead men and dragons were moving through the sky. That sounds like the Cold Hands chapter, where it's like dead men shuffled around opening in the cave, and Summer was up there.
Well, you know what that sounds like to me? Stars.
Dead men and dragons. Oh, because Drogo's a dead man.
Well, and you have constellations of dead people, like, you know, Hercules and Orion up there. You know,
right.
it's just whether it. I don't think it's just flavor text. I think it's also definitely towards George's idiom. But dead people and dragons, like, yeah, we have Draco and Hercules and all these people, Orion in the real world, and in George's world, we have, you know, the Sword of the Morning with his actual sword. You have the ice dragon. So you have dead people and dragons in the stars, the blacksmith, etc.
Yeah, and like I said, when the dragons are hatched, there's this whole thing about how Drogo goes up to the Red Comet, and that's his fiery stallion that he rides through the sky. But the Red Comet is a dragon. So Drogo, whose name becomes a dragon, you know, dead men and dragons, definitely makes us think of that.
Yeah.
Warships crashed and clashed. Tyrion could not see them from here, but he could hear the sounds. The crash of hull against hull as ships slammed together, the deep-throated war horns of the Ironborn, and queer high whistles of the Karth. They're fabulous in Karth. They have queer whistles. The splintering of oars, the shouts and battle cries, the crash of axe on armor, sword on shield, all mingled with the shrieks of wounded men. Many of the ships were still far out in the bay, so the sounds they made seemed faint and far away, but he knew them all the same, the music of slaughter. So it's kind of, you can sort of really picture that, this vague, susurrus, this murmuring of misery, you know, sort of drifting across the miles. And he's thinking about, I'm going to go in there. I got to strap on my helmet and get in that. So fun. Go ahead, Tim.
300 yards from where he stood rose the wicked sister, her long arms swinging up with a clutch of corpses. Chump thump, and there they flew, naked and swollen, pale dead birds tumbling boneless through the air. The siege camp shimmered in a gaudy haze of rose and gold, but the famous stepped pyramids of Meereen hulked black against the glare. Something was moving atop one of them, he saw. A dragon, but which one? At this distance, it could as easily have been an eagle. A very big eagle. So, is he evoking Tolkien's eagles there? What do you think, Sean? You're the Tolkien guy.
Honestly, there's a lot of sexual innuendo in that, and that's what I was looking at. So
okay, we'll bring up talk about that too.
All right, naked and swollen, tumbling boneless through the air. Yeah, like there's some sexual innuendo here. We're talking about, you know, wicked sister, her long
wicked sister,
arm.
yeah.
Like, yeah, this is so, you know, obviously sexual innuendo is only going to be one layer of it.
Even the siege camps, they're shimmering in a gaudy haze of rose and gold. They sound like ladies of the night, dressed up fancy.
Rose and gold. Yeah, and rose and gold are the colors of, you know, House Lannister. So Tyrion, you know, we've seen him in a couple battles now, but the main battle that he first fought in was it the Blue Fork? Was that, or was it the Green Fork? I think it was the Blue Fork. But, you know, that first battle, right? And there's all that Morning Star and Iron Rose and all that symbolism, and it's you know, Tywin, and he's going to invoke Tywin a lot when he's thinking about this battle in this chapter.
So what are the Ironborn doing here with the war horns? I mean, there aren't any women on those boats, so I'm not.
Hey, it's just like prison or the Night's Watch. You make do with what you have.
Indeed.
Yeah, Tony Soprano would tell you, you get a pass for that. There's no women. What are you going to do?
All right. Go ahead, Sean.
After days spent hidden inside musty tents of the Second Sons, the outside air smelled fresh and clear. Though he could not see the bay from where he stood, the tang of salt told him it was near. Tyrion filled his lungs with it. A fine day for a battle. From the east, the sound of drumming rolled across the parched plain. A column of mounted men flashed past the Harridan, flying the blue banners of the windblown. A younger man might have found it all exhilarating. A stupider man might have thought it grand and glorious. Right up to the moment when some arsugly, yunkish slave soldier with rings in his nipples planted an axe between his eyes. Tyrion Lannister knew better. The gods did not fashion me to wield a sword, he thought, so why do they keep putting me in the midst of battles?
This to me is like, when we think about Ares as a god of war that fashioned Tyrion, like the gods did fashion Tyrion, and they did fashion him for battle. Tyrion's in tons of battles, and he always does pretty well, actually. It's a little bit like Sam going, I'm a coward, I'm a coward. Oh, did I just kill a White Walker? Was I the first person on page to kill a White Walker? Oh, I was. Oh, look at that. So,
well, it's kind of interesting because especially in the Battle of the Blackwater, Tyrion goes into almost like a berserker fury when he's fighting on the bridge of ships, and he's just killing people like crazy. And it's not what you would expect, from...
He's like chopping people's knees with his axe and stuff. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We see a bit of that on the Green Fork too, after he, hired when the mountain clans became his sort of hired guns. It seems like he picked up more from them than he would like to let on.
Yeah, and he did okay against the mountain clans when they were first attacked. Also, he saved Catelyn, managed to crush Marillion's hand. He took vengeance and retribution even in the middle of the battle. Like, he had his head on. He wasn't panicking. So yeah, Tyrion, God of War. No one heard. No one answered. No one cared. Oh, I also think George is talking to the reader here. A stupider man might have thought it grand and glorious, right up to, like, George he's talked about this in an interview. Like, yeah, war is glorious, but, there's this other side of it. And he's constantly showing us that. So he's kind of making fun of that here. No one cared. Tyrion found himself thinking back on his first battle. Shay had been the first to stir, woken by his father's trumpets. The sweet strumpet who'd pleasured him for half the night had trembled naked in his arms, a frightened child. Or was that all a lie as well, a ploy she used? Or was that all a lie as well, a ploy she used to make me feel brave and brilliant? What a mummer she might have been. When Tyrion had shouted out for Podrick Payne to help him with his armor, he'd found the boy asleep and snoring. Not the quickest lad I've ever known, but a decent squire in the end. I hope he found a better man to serve. He's serving Brienne. That's a good joke.
It's like he's not the quickest man, but he was fast asleep.
Go ahead, Tim.
It was queer, but Tyrion remembered the Green Fork much better than the Blackwater. It was my first. You never forget your first. He remembered the fog drifting off the river, wandering through the reeds like pale white fingers, and the beauty of that sunrise. He remembered that as well. Stars strewn across a purple sky, the grass glittering like glass with the morning dew, red splendor in the east. He remembered the touch of Shay's fingers as she helped Pod with Tyrion's mismatched armor.
Okay, actually, pause there, Tim. So this is George telling us that he remembers the symbolism he did in A Game of Thrones. It was a lot of the same language, the glass and the stars. The army unfolds like an iron rose. He's going to quote that later when they're doing Syvas. And then Shay's fingers. In the original battle, there was the rosy fingers of dawn unfolding. It was a straight up reference to Eos, the dawn goddess, who's known for her rosy fingers, the sunrise. So yeah, he's quoting that scene pretty hard. For those of you who just think he's just saying whatever and then forgetting because he's an old man. Like, no, he's, he either remembers or he went back to check, because that's the same symbolism from the first book. on this battle. Anyway, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
That bloody helm, like a bucket with a spike. That spike had saved him, though, had won him his first victory. But Groat and Penny had never looked half as silly as he must have looked that day. Shay had called him fearsome when she saw him in his steel, mind you. How could I have been so blind, so deaf, so stupid? I should have known better than to do my thinking with my cock. With my rooster.
Well, it's the morning, so it's a cock. Yeah. But yeah. One of the things that so it's kind of like a baptizing in blood, and it's a sort of birth here. That's why they keep saying things like bloody helm. And when we talk about, that helm saved me, it's because he jumped upward into that horse, remember, in the spike, and now it stabbed the horse and he was covered in blood. But really what was happening is like the horse was giving birth to him. So it was kind of like a dragon birth, if we're equating stallions and dragons again. So Tyrion is being born in blood here. And we're seeing it in all. It's actually very common. It's not just Tyrion. We see this bloody helm type stuff going on a fair amount.
And of course he's using it. I mean, it's really on the nose with the whole losing your virginity thing. He even said, like, you always remember your first. Like, you all remember your first sexual experience. Would you like to share it with everyone?
Don't answer that, chat.
Nope.
All right, Sean, go ahead. Second sons.
The second sons were saddling their horses. They went about it calmly, unhurriedly, efficiently. It was nothing they had not done 100 times before. A few of them were passing a skin from hand to hand, though whether it was wine or water he could not say. Bokoko was kissing his lover shamelessly, kneading the boy's buttocks with one huge hand, the other tangled in his hair. Behind them, Sir Garibald was brushing out the mane of his gelding. Sorry, I can't see that. Kem sat on a rock, gazing at the ground, remembering his dead brother, perhaps, or dreaming of that friend back in King's Landing. Hammer and Nail moved from man to man, checking spears and swords, adjusting armor, putting an edge on any blade that needed it. Snatch chewed his sour leaf, making japes and scratching at his balls with his hook hand. Something about his manner reminded Tyrion of Bronn. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater, now, unless my sisters killed him. That might not be quite so simple as she thinks. He wondered how many battles these second sons had fought, how many skirmishes, how many raids, how many cities have they stormed, how many brothers have they buried or left behind to rot. Compared to them, Tyrion was a green boy, still untested, though he had counted more years than half the company.
I guess. I mean, he's been in, like we said, he's been in some pretty good battles here. So,
I'm not a war god. You can't prove it. I like this though. There was a little Peter Pan there though, and he ends the story as a green boy here. So you look at the guy with the hook hand scratching his balls, and then compares him to Bronn of the Blackwater. Like that just sounds like a pirate name, if nothing else. But yeah. It's also, the Blackwater Bay, and there's a big island in it, so it kind of sounds like Neverland a little bit.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I just thought of that line from 8 Crazy Nights. I wonder if that guy ever wiped his ass with the wrong hand. Yes.
Don't know the reference, Tim.
We do love toilet paper.
I know Sean likes the whole wrong hand thing, though, but pick it up, Tim.
This would be his third battle. Seasoned and blooded, stamped and sealed, a proven warrior. That's me. I've killed some men and wounded others, taken wounds myself and lived to tell of them. I've led charges, heard men scream my name, cut down bigger men and better, even had a few small tastes of glory. And wasn't that a fine, rich wine for heroes? And wouldn't I like another taste? Yet with all he'd done and all he'd seen, the prospect of another battle had made his blood run cold. He had traveled across half the world by way of palanquin, pole boat, and pig, sailed in slave ships and trading galleys, mounted whores and horses, all the time telling himself that he did not care whether he lived or died, only to find out that he cared quite a lot after all.
So that might be a little bit of an encapsulation of Tyrion's arc, a little bit, like, because that's kind of what we're talking about. His redemption arc would be essentially giving a F instead of trying to do the diffident Jaime, I don't give an F thing. So that's interesting, only to find that he cared quite a lot after all. I hope that's what happens.
Yeah.
I also like after the green boy here, now the battle makes his blood run cold. It's like the children of the forest turning into the others.
He's traveled halfway across the world, so
yeah,
you know.
It is and it is like there are no atheists in foxholes moment. Like apathy and misanthropy tend to melt away when death is staring you right in the face.
The stranger had mounted his pale mare and was riding toward them with his. Oh, you know what? Jesus Christ, Sean. The stranger on the pale. That's Odin too.
Yeah.
Because he's always in disguise. He's the stranger, and he's always him riding Sleipnir. It's like that goes back to the Wild Hunt and stuff. Like that's
right. And pale is a way to not only connect it to the Bible, death came on a pale horse, but it's also a way to avoid saying the exact color, so that it can be gray, it can be white, whatever it is. It's just pale. It's not.
Yeah. It'll be sickly green. And of course the Grim Reaper is always disguised because he's always has his cloak and hood on.
So we're going to talk about this more next week, but the Wild Hunt frequently has horses and dogs. And the leader of the Wild Hunt is almost always riding a horse. And it's frequently like a demon horse, like a black horse. It's a horse that eats people. And, everything about the Wild Hunt, they're all like dead spirits. So there is a demonic sort of thing going on there. And George gives the Hellhound, Sandor Clegane, a black horse named Stranger who bites people. So that's a very direct Wild Hunt reference. And here it's a pale horse, but it's still a horse that kills people, because it's just a term for a disease. When people ride the pale mare, they die. So we're back to Odin riding Yggdrasil, which is a pale horse tree that he rides, and the weirwoods are pale too. So there's a lot of Odin dying in order to gain magic symbolism here, gaining magic through death. That's all coded in the stranger, because Odin is the stranger. I can't believe I never put that together.
Well, and you ever see the Johnny Depp Legend of Sleepy Hollow?
Yes, absolutely.
So it actually has turned the whole thing into a Wild Hunt, which is where the roots of a lot of that came from, Washington Irving writing it. But you go into the story, and there is a witch and the horsemen who live underneath the roots of a tree that bleeds when you stab it. And they're carrying people off in this Wild Hunt, replacing them with a harvest crop, a pumpkin on the head. There's all sorts of witchcraft and everything. It's all very on the nose, the way that it's portrayed. A lot of themes that you'll recognize from A Song of Ice and Fire.
I watched it before I did this. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying George is doing that a bit with the Mountain too, because remember Gregor Clegane's full title is The Mountain That Rides, so he is also a headless horseman figure. The Mountain, as Qyburn's Science White, may also be a take on the Dullahan.
Yeah, and the main thing is the dream. The Bran sees the shadow, the faceless shadow that seems to be the mountain. So yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I watched Sleepy Hollow before I ever got into Ice and Fire, so I wasn't really looking at movies the same way back then. I should rewatch it.
Yeah, it's sorry, I just totally lost my thread. But the headless horseman in the like bleeding stump and all that kind of thing. It goes back to Bloody Helm. So we see the Bloody Helm. Another example of that is Ramsay Bolton with his blood red helm that he invades Winterfell with and razes it to the ground and all that. So it's something that we're going to keep seeing more and more. We're going to see it in this chapter.
Quave's mask, even.
Yeah.
The red lacquer mask. All right, Tim, go ahead with Penny.
Oh, we didn't read this whole chapter. We only said the stranger mounted his pale mare.
And then I spiraled out. But Tyrion Lannister did not care to meet with him again. Not now, not yet, not this day. What a fraud you are, imp. You let 100 guardsmen rape your wife, shot your father through the belly with a quarrel, twisted a golden chain around your lover's throat until her face turned black, yet somehow you still think that you deserve to live. I think that's a pretty frank, almost breaking the fourth wall. Like, this is about as heavy-handed as George ever gets with, like, telling us what to think about his character. It makes sense because Tyrion is smart enough to be this self-aware at this point in his arc. But that's stacking up all his crimes right there. That's not even mentioning the serving girl at Illyrio's manse, or Simon Silvertongue.
Nobody feels bad for Simon.
Oh, I don't feel bad for him. I'm just saying it was a murder, creative murder at that. But
the redheaded girl on the boat, yeah.
I think
the protagonist.
The redhead girl on the boat. You're talking about at Illyrio's manse, aren't you?
No, it's on his way to Illyrio's manse after when he's crossing the narrow sea.
No, he crosses the narrow sea in a wine keg.
Yeah, they're doing I
thought that happened on a boat.
No, it's at Illyrio's manse.
Tiamat and Marduk, poisoned waters, and so he's throwing up while he's in the ocean the whole time. And yeah, anyway.
So many scenes, they make you remember and remember. Okay. Penny was already in her armor when Tyrion slipped back inside the tent they shared. She had been strapping herself into wooden plate for years in service to her mummery. Real plate and mail were not so different once you mastered all the clasps and buckles. And if the company's steel was dented here and rusted there, scratched and stained and discolored, no matter. It should still be good enough to stop a sword.
Okay, Tim, hang on. The chat is cooking. Zimmerwald points out that crossing the water in a barrel is a Hobbit thing too, of course, and Tyrion is Underhill. He's a Hobbit, so
that's actually an interesting scene. There is and obviously Tyrion's short as well, so it plays well into that. But the whole point of that is the River of Time. So they said that they're going to be imprisoned with the immortal elves until the end of time, blah, blah, blah. And then they go down this river and they're no longer imprisoned. So they obviously changed that scene a lot for the movie adaptation, but, hiding in wine casks, and that only to be dumped out and say, I'm the king, so it's.
That's pretty cool.
King under the mountain returns when his people need him. And he pops out, at the foot of the mountain and says, I'm the king.
The little king or little and when he pops out, they start calling him Hugo Hill, which is a king name. Yeah, so nice. All right, go ahead, Tim. Where were we?
So now we're getting our speaking roles. So now, who wants to be Tyrion and who wants to be Penny?
Whichever one you want, I can take the other.
I guess I'll get.
Who did Tyrion last time?
I don't know that I've ever done Tyrion.
You want to do Tyrion?
No, that's fine.
I think I did Tyrion last time.
Yeah, you can go for it.
All right. The only piece she had not donned was her helm. When he entered, she looked up. You're not armored. What's happening?
Oh, that's horrible. Come on. Give Penny a little
dignity.
Yeah.
Penny is a crowd favorite. You treat her better.
Rejected, Tim.
I was also trying to do a dwarf
She's a
woman.
sweet little innocent girl, okay? She's not that old either. She's like, what, 17 or something? She's not old.
No, she's pretty young.
All right, I'll try it again. You're not armored. What's happening?
Much better, much better. The usual things, mud and blood and heroism, killing and dying. There's one battle being fought out on the bay, another one beneath the city walls. Whichever way the Yunkish turn, they have a foe behind them. The closest fighting's a good league off still, but we'll be in it soon. On one side or the other. The Second Sons were ripe for another change of masters. Tyrion was almost certain of that, though there was a great abyss between certain and almost certain. If I have misjudged my man, all of us are lost. So yeah, Tyrion definitely knows which way the winds are blowing. Put on your helm and make sure the clasps are closed. I took mine off once to keep from drowning, and it cost me a nose. Tyrion picked at his scar.
We need to get you into your armor first.
If you wish. The jerkin first, the boiled leather with the iron studs. Ring mail over that, then the gorget. He glanced about the tent. Is there wine?
No.
We had half a flagon left from supper.
A quarter of a flagon, and you drank it.
I would sell my sister for a cup of wine.
You would sell your sister for a cup of horse piss.
Penny's getting to know Tyrion. That's cute.
Also, I like this because this is so one of the earliest things you clocked about Tyrion is that he's doing a lot of Sun Wukong. And one of the things that Sun Wukong does is he becomes immortal in about 25 different ways. You know, he's just the ADHD is I'm going to chug all of this wine of the gods that makes me immortal and all this. And he's stealing it and he eats the peaches of him or the apples of immortality or peaches or whatever.
Peaches.
So him, you know, having already drunk all the wine was a big story in Journey to the West. And another thing we should remember about Journey to the West is even though Sun Wukong is the most memorable and well-liked character, he's not only not presented as a good character, he's not even the protagonist. The protagonist is a monk who is making the journey to the West, and Sun Wukong is supposed to redeem himself by helping this monk. So it's like...
that's why it's such a great correlation. Like, Sun Wukong was imprisoned under a mountain for 500 years by the Buddha, and then the Buddha got him out to be a guardian, hoping that he had learned his lesson. Varys, the Buddha, you know, breaks Tyrion out of jail so he can go and guide, the hero, or the fake hero. We're one of the heroes. We're not sure. We'll see.
You say he got Sun Wukong out from under a mountain or under a hill?
Well, I guess it would be a king under the mountain motif. Since that was written by 1500, would have had that influence. But yes, it's more Underhill stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of his titles is the Monkey King. So he's the king of all monkeys. So it's definitely a king under the mountain thing.
And of course, Sun Wukong himself originally comes from the fruit and flower vale on top of a mountain. He is rock born. He's literally a rock that became a monkey. So
he's versatile.
He's very versatile. That's a good word for him, actually. That was so unexpected that it made him laugh aloud. Is my taste for horse piss so well known, or have you met my sister?
I only saw her that one time. When we jousted for the boy king, Groat thought she was beautiful.
Groat was a stunted little lickspittle with a stupid name. Only a fool rides into battle sober. Plumm will have some wine. What if he dies in battle? It would be a crime to waste it.
Hold your tongue. I need to lace this jerkin up.
Tyrion did try, but it seemed to him that the sounds of slaughter were growing louder, and his tongue would not be held. Pudding Face wants us to use the company to throw the Iron Men back into the sea, he heard himself telling Penny as she dressed him. What he should have done was send all his horses at the eunuchs, full charge, before they got 10 feet from their gates. Send the cats at them from the left, us and the windblown from the right. Rip apart their flanks from both ends. Man to man, the Unsullied are no better or worse than any other spearmen. It's their discipline that makes them dangerous. But if they cannot form up into a spear wall... Tyrion is very right about this. We don't need to make Tyrion out to be a genius, but he's at least competent. Like, he looks at the battlefield pretty instantly. He's like, oh, what's going... Like, what are you guys doing? So... Because, it's just that. The Unsullied, once they form up, you're in trouble. And the whole strategy that Barristan was executing was basically riding out first to cause chaos so the Unsullied had time to form up. So... This was a key element of the battle, and the fact that the Unsullied have been able to form up, apparently, without being disturbed, tells you which way it's going to go.
Right.
Lift your arms. There, that's better. Maybe you should command the Yunkishmen.
They use slave soldiers, why not slave commanders? That would ruin the contest, though. This is just a Syvas game to the wise masters. We're the pieces. Tyrion canted his head to one side, considering. They have that in common with my father, these slavers.
Your father? What do you mean?
I was just recalling my first battle, the Green Fork. We fought between a river and a road. When I saw my father's host deploy, I remember thinking how beautiful it was, like a flower opening its petals to the sun. a crimson rose with iron thorns. So like I said, he's literally quoting Game of Thrones here, exact same imagery, which means it's important and intended. And my father, he had never looked so resplendent. He wore crimson armor with his huge great cloak made of cloth of gold, a pair of golden lions on his shoulders, another on his helm. His stallion was magnificent. His lordship watched the whole battle from atop that horse and never got within 100 yards of any foe. He never moved, never smiled, never broke a sweat, whilst thousands died below him. Picture me perched on a camp stool, gazing down upon a Cyvasse board. We could almost be twins. If I had a horse, some crimson armor, and a great cloak sewn from cloth of gold. He was taller, too. I have more hair. So it's a funny little diatribe. We could almost be twins, you say, Tyrion?
Very Lannister of him. Very, Casterly, the Castor and Pollux of Casterly Rocks. But, yeah, he's saying the quiet part out loud. He's like, yes, you should be thinking of me in the same symbolic motif as Tywin Lannister here. And Tywin Lannister being a lion looking down from a rock, it's, Tyrion, everything that the light touches is our kingdom.
What about that shadowy part? That's a Shaw. You must never go there.
Never go there, Simba.
What are we doing? That was a great fusion. I'm just going to mute my mic and let y'all cook. And seriously, though, I am going to go get another drink. So, Sean, if you could take over Tyrion and don't read past this. Well, this will keep you busy. I'll be right back.
Penny kissed him. She moved so fast that he had no time to think. She darted in, quick as a bird, and pressed her lips to his. Just as quickly it was over. What was that for, he almost said, but he knew what it was for. Thank you, he might have said. But she might take that as leave to do it again. Child, I have no wish to hurt you. He could have tried, but Penny was no child, and his wishes would not blunt the cut. For the first time for longer than he cared to think, Tyrion Lannister was at a loss for words. She looks so young, he thought. A girl, that's all she is. Oh. One sec, I got a rampaging line. A girl, and almost pretty if you can forget that she's a dwarf. Her hair was a warm brown, thick and curly, and her eyes were large and trusting.
Do you hear that sound? Said Tyrion.
She listened. What is it? She said as she was strapping a pair of mismatched greaves onto his stunted legs.
War. On either side of us and not a league away. That's slaughter, Penny. That's men stumbling through the mud with their entrails hanging out. That's severed limbs and broken bones and pools of blood. You know how the worms come out after a hard rain? I hear they do the same after a big battle if enough blood soaks into the ground. That's the stranger coming, Penny. The black goat, the pale child, him of many faces. Call him what you will. That's death.
Yeah, that's weirwood roots. The weirwood roots are the worms coming out to drink up the blood. And we talk about this all the time. George always has to use some kind of symbolism to create a weirwood standing in a place where there are no weirwoods. And so that's how we get some weirwood imagery into Meereen.
Yeah, and we're getting other types of imagery here. When you get the black goat, obviously every time we see the black goat, we should be thinking Baphomet. We should be thinking all of the implications of a green man who is demonized. All the implications of Lucifer. So it's, even star type stuff going on. When we think the pale child, we should be thinking the reverse. The pale child being born, in the morning, in morning star, in the spring, whatever. It's the beginning of the life cycle that ends in even star. So the pale child is like a bright star rising. So we're getting the opposite of that. And also, the hymn of many faces is obviously, we're talking about the
many face
Arya's people. Yeah.
But isn't Bacalon the pale child? Doesn't that originate from like an older George short story?
Yes, but they both have their roots in the idea of like a morning star or spring break. That's why dawn breaks and spring also breaks. They're meant to be the same thing. And the morning star is also the same thing. That's why it has morning in it.
You're scaring me.
Hi, I'm back in this. Look, I have a lions on my shoulders like Tywin.
He's got one too.
I got lions clinging to me.
Yes, you do.
I got little lion cubs.
You ain't lying.
Why is Tim soloed?
Look at that baby fake.
I don't know how we did. Okay, I'm gonna go back to. I was just trying to blow up all of us. Okay. Anyway, it's Tim's channel. We're just living in it, Sean. But no, I was saying he introduced the weirwood symbolism here because he's listing all the death gods, and the weirwood is a death god. You die to get its power, like we were just saying with the stranger and all that. So here he's further tying in the weirwood with the stranger and the black goat and all that stuff. So,
and the worms coming up, it's once again the grave worms or the blood worms that we equate with the weirwood roots. We're seeing, he's talking about the worms coming up through the soil because of pools of blood, just like it was rain. So when we talk about rain, we're talking about a meteor shower. That's rain. When we talk about the pools of blood, that is blood sacrifice before a weirwood. So, but they're both kind of amounting to the same thing.
Yep, rain and blood. That's not so much a Slayer reference as it is a red rain of bleeding stars. So, yeah.
It's a rain and blood.
That's death.
So it's Tyrion speaking again. Am I good?
Okay. Am I good? You should be scared. We have Ironborn swarming ashore, and Sir Barristan and his Unsullied pouring out the city gates, with us between them, fighting on the wrong, bloody side. I am terrified myself.
You say that, but you still make japes.
That is my archetype. I am a trickster. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that's not the line. I added that in. Japes are one way to keep the fear away. Wine's another.
You're brave. Little people can be brave.
My giant of Lannister, he heard. She is mocking me. He almost slapped her again. Oh, I missed the slap and the kiss. Slap and tickle. Did you guys do it justice?
There was a kiss, no slap.
We pitched the screens together. It was, we put on a show.
The slap was probably in the last chapter.
I think the slap happens in dance.
Yeah.
The kiss happened just now, though.
Okay, yes, that I caught as I was walking away. His head was pounding.
I never meant to make you angry. Forgive me. I'm frightened is all. She touched his hand.
Tyrion wrenched away from her. I'm frightened. Those were the same words Shay had used. Her eyes were as big as eggs, and I swallowed every bit of it. I knew what she was. I told Bronn to find a woman for me, and he brought me Shay. His hands curled into fists, and Shay's face swarmed before him, grinning. Then the chain was tightening about her throat, the golden hands digging deep into her flesh, as her own hands fluttered against his face with all the force of butterflies. If he'd had a chain to hand, if he'd had a crossbow, a dagger, anything, he might have what?
Killed Penny. He's basically taking his baggage from Shay out on Penny here.
So this is interesting. George is showing us that he's self-aware, but he's not exactly sorry. It's more like he's feeling some shame and disgust and self-loathing, but he's not remorseful, I think it's safe to say.
He's aware there's trauma, but he hasn't been to therapy.
Yeah, he hasn't processed this.
And I do think it's good writing in the sense that, people in books shouldn't just kill people and then move on and, they don't think about it anymore. If you strangled a woman with your hands that was your lover, that would go through your head. I mean, take the gender out of it. If you strangled somebody that was your best friend or lover, you would think about that over and over and over. So, I mean, I think Brienne could strangle Hyle Hunt, right? The gender doesn't matter. You could flip it either way. Brienne could strangle him. You could be strangled by a woman, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those gymnast girls with the
definitely by Brienne.
What's that?
So you'd definitely be strangled by Brienne.
I would stand very little chance. All right,
Hey,
calm down.
do
Nobody's
not
getting
help
strangled.
Aiden
Everyone
right
just,
where he wants to
it's
be.
look, it's Tyrion chapter. It's, it's kind of messed up. The point is that if you kill somebody, like you can't just get off scot-free. Like he should be running this through his mind. He should be thinking of it when he's not trying to. The image of her dying should come back in his mind and like freak him out. And it totally is. So I just think it's accurate as far as George like not just like letting that go. You know what I mean? Like he puts a lot of violence in the story, and the point is always the effect that it has on people. And that's what he spends most of his time writing about. So
yeah. Nobody's kink shaming. We're kink asking why.
That's it. Let's see. Where were we?
It was only then that Tyrion heard the shouts. He was lost in a black rage, drowning in a sea of memory, but the shouting brought the world back in a rush. He opened his hands, took a breath, turned away from Penny. Something's happening. He went outside to discover what it was. Dragons.
Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. The green beast was circling above the bay, banking and turning as longships and galleys clashed and burned below him. But it was the white dragon the sellswords were gawking at. 300 yards away, the wicked sister swung her arm. Chunk thump. And 6 fresh corpses went dancing through the sky. Up they rose and up, up, up. Then 2 burst into flame. Okay, so this is great. The green beast circling above the bay. It's Blackwater Bay, and right before that, he says, Tyrion was in a black rage. That's like his berserker moment on the bridge of ships when he's, in the Blackwater Bay, going, in like a berserker rage.
And the burning longships below him, yeah.
Right, and 6 fresh corpses dancing through the sky. Right after he mentions the wicked sister. So there's an ostensible female gender applied to them. And the idea is that's the Pleiades, the 6 sisters of the Pleiades in the sky. And of course, they're dancing through the sky. And really, whenever we see that, we're always supposed to remember that even though it says 6 with the Pleiades, one is hidden behind another. They look like they're one star now because they're too close. So it's really 7 sisters, even though it's supposed to be 6. So up they rose and up, then 2 burst into flame.
It also reminds me of just, again, Drogo ascending the smoke to the heavens, the Horn Lord riding the sky, the Horn Lord being a dancing shaman figure like Patchface. Bran's horse is Dancer. Bran is, flies with the tree horse. So it's kind of the same motif just being developed over and over and over. It also reminds me of the guy climbing the fiery ladder in Karth. He climbs the ladder and then disappears in a puff of flame, and 2 of these corpses are rising and bursting into flame. So little Icarus. It's all various kinds of transformation. Again, this pretty much everything in this chapter has been about death transformation so far.
And 'tis the season. You mentioned that his horse's name was Dancer. It's one of Santa's reindeer. It's not.
Yeah, we got
Dancer.
We've got Donner and Blitzen in the story, and we've got Comet in the story. There's Dancer. We ought to go through them all. We'll do that on Wednesday.
Dancer and Prancer and Comet and Blitzen.
So, seriously, Sean, though, don't forget. Remind us on Wednesday. We'll go through all the reindeer. We'll see what we can find.
We will.
Where's that freak with the red nose?
I have a cold.
Or Roddy the Ruin. It's Roddy the Ruin.
It's Tyrion.
Yeah, true. If he's got a ruined nose. But I was just thinking, with all this death transformation symbolism, of course, this is leading up to the white Cyvasse dragon Tyrion scene. And Tim, you've been talking about the idea that Viserion's going to end up a dead dragon somehow, a corpse dragon. We've had the pale mare and pale corpses and all this death transformation stuff. This might all be about Viserion here.
It's coming in this chapter. Next paragraph. The dragon caught one burning body just as it began to fall, crunching it between his jaws as pale fires ran across his teeth. White wings cracked against the morning air, and the beast began to climb again. The second corpse caromed off an outstretched claw and plunged straight down to land amongst some Yunkish horsemen. So this is what I'm talking about. Every time I bring up the Byakhee, the corpse dragons from Lovecraft, and then Viserion is here. Viserion, the white skinny dragon, is the corpse-eating dragon, and so this is why it leads more and more to the idea that Viserion is going to be the one that gets taken by Euron.
Anytime the dragons are called the beast, I get excited because, of course, Satan the dragon and his two beasts.
Well, in specifically Viserion, who will be, a dead dragon, but in the form of a white dragon, W-I-G-H. That appearing, literally the color white or appearing pale enough, like pale, we talked about is, non-denominational, somewhere between, gray or white or cream or whatever. The point being pale and white, W-I-G-H-T, with blue eyes and possibly blue fire. That's an old motif, and you see it in a lot of things. The most obvious one that people are going to remember off the top of their head is from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the blue eyes white dragon that shoots out, blue jets of magic. And the point is that that's a magic dragon. That is a dragon infused with magic. That's older than Yu-Gi-Oh! It's older than, George R.R. Martin. They didn't invent this. You have the green dragon that's always a symbol of nature ever since Beowulf, and before that, you have the white dragon, which is unnatural. And it has blue eyes and, shoots magic, because magic is usually contextualized as, blue.
And the blue eyes white dragon comes from the spirit of a white haired maiden with pale skin and blue eyes. It's like, we could joke George secret weep stuff, but it's just George taking off of the same tropes that a lot of these authors have done too. And it comes up in a lot of manga and anime as well. So. Yeah. It's it's just repeating themes. Like no idea is original anymore. But there was something else I wanted to say, but I lost it. It might come back to me.
I was just saying to myself in my room, muted, where you guys couldn't hear me, that I was frame this as a conversation. George is having a conversation with Tolkien. You should write a story and have a conversation with all these guys. You're going to use a lot of the same motifs because it's kind of hard to invent new stuff at this point. But you can take these symbols and motifs and recombine them in your own way and tell your own story. And that it will be better if you have an awareness of what other people have done with those same motifs, so that you can not do the same thing, but intelligently, add your own spin on it. And then it becomes that conversation. And that's really the literary tradition. Like, nobody's trying to, claim that they invented everything from the ground up. I mean, that's just impossible. Because
it's like, you can't invent pizza again, but you can add new ingredients, and that's kind of the best we can hope for at this point.
I've got some pizza in the refrigerator. I'm totally going to kill that after the stream.
In conversation with Tolkien is interesting, because in the last year, we had more Tolkien notes from his lore released about frost dragons. So he did mention like cold dragons and stuff like that, and nobody was ever sure if that was just in contrast to dragons that could breathe fire, or if it meant that they breathed ice crystals or just ice vapor. And there was some clarification in that from the notes that they actually do breathe frost. And the most famous frost dragon was blind and crawled on its belly like a worm, and it killed a bunch of dwarves. So there's some commonality here.
And then, of course, last week we read the Barristan chapter. Barristan has very blue eyes, and he wears the ice dragon armor. And I was even putting together that it's basically Dany as Adara, with Barristan, her ice dragon, So same thing.
And he's riding her horse.
Yep.
And the reason he gives as to why he's riding her horse is that the dragons are used to it. So it's
the horse is used to the dragons, you mean?
Yes. Sorry, other way around. But yeah, I mean, I'm riding Dany's mount because the dragon, or because it's, it's cool with dragon stuff. And it's like, Okay, we're almost breaking the fourth wall.
Explain.
Oh, it just means it's he's obviously portraying an other, but he's portraying an othery dragon rider, and he's using all the elements of Dany's symbolism as he does it, and Dany is a dragon rider. So it's just kind of like,
oh, and he's riding her mount. So it's like, yeah, one of these dragons is going to get stolen and otherized.
right.
Potentially, yeah. And the otherization could be in steps. Like you could see Euron and Sorcel at first, and then eventually get stolen by the others. We don't know if Euron's going to tap into. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, that's what I had lost, but came back to me now. Yeah, that Euron will, because going on what Sean had said earlier about the whited dragon is that Euron will ensorcel it because whites are essentially slaves of the others. And Euron ensorceling Viserion is another way of doing that. And it's another more Euron abomination because it runs flying in the face of what Dany says of a dragon is not a slave. But if Euron makes a dragon, Viserion, his slave, then he is committing a new form of abomination, at least to a Targaryen, to a Valyrian's eyes. And of course, also Euron essentially not having any Valyrian blood, him being more of a sorcerer outside of the system who gets a dragon is breaking even more rules. It just like it spits on everything that these like that Dany's culture would hold sacred for Euron to get a dragon.
And then of course, we'll maybe read the scene in 2 weeks. But Alysanne, when she goes to Old Town, she lands atop the high tower with a pale dragon. And Alysanne is a Night's Queen figure with blue eyes and snow white hair at the end of her life. There's a heavy foreshadowing that not only will Viserion go to the top of the high tower, but there will be an ice dragon, corpse dragon implication, layer of reality. We're not sure exactly, but there'll be some aspect to it that will be like that. I was just saying, Tim, imagine that Euron steals Viserion, and then later the others take him because he's been whited or ensorcelled.
Yeah, and the question then becomes: is Viserion whited too, or is he just along for the ride after Euron becomes a Plan B Night's King?
So I think
that's the other question: is what is the level of interaction between Euron and the others? The symbolism says that he is the Night's King and should command the others. So it's just hard to say if that's a literal thing or just like he is the physical, real world equivalent of the spiritual night. The real Night King's in the heart of winter. That Bran and Dany will find him, and meanwhile Euron is doing a parallel thing with the sort of physical battles. But I think it's more like he's gonna, turn into the leader of the others. I think that would be sweet.
I think it's both, and I think something you said earlier about it happening in stages. So like the dragon is enslaved, then the dragon dies. And the thing is Euron, nobody has talked more about this than Tim, about Euron basically being ripped straight out of Lovecraft. And this is a theme that goes when you screw with magic and trying to use the magic of the old gods, through dimensions, blah, blah, what ends up happening is you flew a little too close to the dark sun. Yeah. You get possessed, you get like everything ends up being terrible for you, even though you thought it would lead to unlimited power for you. So it's kind of like, him taking over this dragon and then the dragon being killed. And then eventually I think he gets possessed by the others. And so he is riding, the possessed version of Euron, or whited, or however you want to look at it, is riding this dragon and is leading the others into battle. So in one sense, he very much is the modern Night's King in doing all of those things, while at the same time it's not really him, and it is more of a symbolic thing. So it's all about the Rise White Dragon.
Yeah, because like I said, Euron is the quintessential Lovecraft character in the story, following in the footsteps of your Obed Marshes, your Enoch Bowens, all these guys in the Lovecraft stories who go messing around with this supernatural stuff, and it never ends well for them. So if we question, like, is this going to be Euron using the others or the others using Euron, I think when we get to that phase, it's going to be Euron has been whited. And I've said that is the greatest karmic justice that could be given to Euron, someone who has used others every step of the way to get to his goal, being overtaken by someone else. For Euron to essentially be Hodored by a power greater than him, that is karmic justice, and that's probably what's going to happen.
And so it could be that Hands of White Fire Lady in his dream is the spirit of Night's Queen from the Weirwood Net, and that's who's tricking him and ensorceling him. And the whole plan could be to get Euron to steal a dragon so the others can steal the dragon. Like, that might be the scheme. They might not be able to just steal a fire dragon. Even on the show, like, it had to die first. Then the others could take it. So there could be some sort of a setup, whether it's intentionally planned by the others or if it's just the author planning it, where Euron's going to get the dragon. That's going to leave it vulnerable in some way to the others. Like, this kind of makes a lot of sense to me. We should come back to this in 2 weeks, but that was a cool jam. Cheryl Baxter, thank you for all your support. Official grandmother of the show. Appreciate you. To you guys, as you keep the books alive while watching Winds of Winter. Watching 4. It's out there somewhere. It's riding a dead dragon. Take this a little slower. It'll get here, though. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Cheryl. And yeah, that is some tasty tinfoil. I concur. So the dragon caught one burning body just as it began to fall. Sean, take it over.
Crunching it between his jaws as pale fires ran across his teeth.
Oh, we read this. I'm sorry. We did read this whole thing. No.
Yeah.
We read it right to there and then stopped. Okay, go ahead.
White wings crackled against the morning air, and the beast began to climb again. The second corpse caromed off an outstretched claw and plunged straight down to land amongst some Yunkish horsemen. Some of them caught fire too. One horse reared up and threw his rider. The others ran, trying to outrace the flames and fanning them instead. Tyrion Lannister could almost taste the panic as it rippled out across the camps.
That's a cool line. Keep rolling.
A sharp, familiar scent of urine filled the air. The dwarf glanced about and was relieved to see that it was Inkpots who had just pissed himself, not him.
Tyrion speaking.
You had best go change your breeches, Tyrion told him, and whilst you're about it, turn your cloak. The paymaster blanched but did not move. This is cool that George is like, sort of, he hasn't, when he's writing Dance here, he's not written Fire and Blood yet. He hasn't written any dragon battles yet, really. There's a little bit in the World of Ice and Fire, but that hasn't been written yet either. So this is George just starting to give us a taste of, because this is Winds of Winter, but he would have written this like basically at the end of the Dance writing. Right. These all came out right about then, and they mostly seem to have been cut from Dance. So he's just showing you how terrifying the dragons are. That's all I'm trying to say. People are pissing themselves.
But he's also setting up a foreshadow for later for this chapter. Like, he tells him, turn your cloak. Yeah, he means it as turn your cloak to cover up the wet stains so nobody laughs at you. But at the same time, Tyrion has been surveying this battle. He's seeing the absolute buffoonery of the Yunkish wise masters and their slave armies. So you could, like, the gears are turning in Tyrion's head of him formulating this plan of when he eventually will meet with Brown Ben Plumm of, this isn't going to work. This side is going to lose. I'm a sitting duck if I stay here. I'm going to have to make some action. And that's where Tyrion, he had said, like, we are all just chess pieces for the wise masters. He's like, no, I got to turn this around. This has to become my Savos game. These guys can't be the game masters. I need to become the game master.
Well, so earlier in the chapter, he said, hopefully my man is who I think he is, or else we're all screwed. He's talking about Brown Ben there. And so he's already planning on trying to convince him, and he's thinking that he will be able to. So that's what he was talking about there. So he's definitely got this plan formed. And right at the beginning of this chapter, first thing he does is look out on the field and be like, oh yeah, those slave soldiers are screwed. They've got enemies on both sides.
We got to turn our cloaks. Yeah, he was also talking to Ben Plumm about doing it in the previous chapter. Like, this is he's been forcing this for a while. I want to draw attention to the last sentence in there. The paymaster blanched but did not move. He's doing a lot of work with one verb there. Blanched, obviously, turning white. So in this scenario, we should be thinking of like turning over to the others. Mm-hmm. But also blanching is something that you do to vegetables.
Yeah,
so
blanching is
like a green men thing. Green men turning white.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the others were green men. They were blanched.
I was just going to say it's a cooking term, and Tyrion is cooking here, cooking up a new scheme.
Yeah.
Layers.
Go ahead, Tim.
Onions have layers, and we're blanching them. He was still standing there, staring as the dragon snatched corpses from the air when the messenger came pounding up. A bloody officer, Tyrion saw at once. He was clad in golden armor and mounted on a golden horse. Loudly, he announced that he had come from the supreme commander of the Yunkai, the noble and puissant Gorzak Zoaraz.
I don't know how you pronounce that one, Tim. You're on your own for that. But puissant, I knew.
All right. And Amos, I guess I'll do the Lord Gorzak sends his compliments to Captain Plumm and requests that he bring his company to the bay shore. Our ships are under attack.
Your ships are sinking, burning, fleeing, thought Tyrion. Your ships are being taken, your men put to the sword. He was a Lannister of Casterly Rock, close by the Iron Islands. Ironborn reavers were no strangers to their shores. Over the centuries they had burned Lannisport at least thrice, and raided it 24 times. Westermen knew what savagery the Ironborn were capable of. These slavers were just learning.
Captain's not here just now, Inkpots told the messenger. He's gone to see the girl general.
The rider pointed at the sun. Lady Malaz's command ended with the rising of the sun. Do as Lord Gorzak instructs you.
Attack the squid ships, you mean? The ones out there in the water?
The paymaster frowned.
I don't see how myself, but when Brown Ben gets back, I'll tell him what your Gorzak wants.
I gave you a command. You will act upon it now.
We take commands from our captain,
Inkpot said in his usual mild tone.
He's not here. I told you.
Pretty big talk from a man who just peed himself. The messenger had lost his patience, Tyrion could see. Battle is joined. Your commander should be with you.
Might be, but he's not. The girl sent for him. He went.
The messenger went purple. You must carry out your order.
Snatch spat a wad of well-chewed sour leaf out of the left side of his mouth.
Begging your pardon,
he told the Yunkish rider.
But we're all horsemen here, same as my lord. Now a good trained war horse, he'll charge a wall of spears. Some will leap a fire ditch. But I never once saw any horse could run on water.
The ships are landing men, screamed the Yunkish lordling. They've blocked the mouth of Skahazdan with a fire ship, and every moment you stand here talking, another 100 swords come splashing through the shallows. Assemble your men and drive them back into the sea. At once. Gorzak commands it.
So this is, they're playing dumb a little bit, the Second Sons. Like, it's pretty odd. Like, they could go do that. They definitely could attack the people as they are wading ashore, you know, Beach of Normandy style, but without guns. But they're just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I can't walk on water. What do you want us to do? Our commander's not here. I mean, I'll tell him, but, you know.
Well, you really want horses to charge over wet sand?
Yeah, I guess that doesn't work either, does it?
Bad idea. In mud and stuff, too. Yeah, like, it's just such a dumb idea.
Archers. You would want archers for that, maybe, or like infantry.
Yeah, because I mean, worst case scenario, the soldiers will just literally wade out into the water and they're out of reach. So it's just, you know, it's a terrible idea. And they're playing dumb partially because they don't want to obey a really stupid order and have bad things happen.
Yeah, and the Ironborn, they have really tight strategy. That's one thing that they know. It's like they are lethally efficient with their strategy. You're not just going to go over there and stop them from landing. And that's kind of what Tyrion knows. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to go fight a bunch of Ironborn.
Yeah. And yeah,
It
well,
also
he's right, like, going at them while they're in the shadows, but it's like these are Ironborn. They've made up for that deficiency when it comes to hopping off the ships and getting to the land.
And also, it's just since they are sellswords, what they want to do more than anything else is make sure that they come out on top. So they will waste as much time before going into battle and picking a side as they can.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why, not to go back to the Golden Company, but that's what, like, a sellsword's word isn't worth the paper it's printed on, and that's why the Golden Company breaking its contract with Myr is such a big deal. Like, our word is good as gold. That wasn't just a slogan. That was that was a binding oath, and for nearly 100 years they stuck by it. That's why them dropping everything to go sail and fight for Fagon is such a big deal.
Yeah, I did think it was funny that Inkpots pissed himself. They should call him Piss Pots. And I'm not sure there might be symbolism there, like black ink and...
Well, and piss is like, golden fire of the gods. So it's kind of like it's a like Sun King thing. You see it with people like Aeron pissing in fire all the time.
Oh, and
the dragon is overhead, dropping fiery corpses down that light shit on fire, and he's pissing. So
Monkey King, Sun Wukong offers his piss to the evil Taoists and tells them it's the elixir of life.
Yeah, he also tries to pee out a fire. It does not go well.
You guys are like steeped in the Sun Wukong. I'm impressed.
It's a good story.
I will never read it again. It is so long and so detailed. It was excellent. It was amazing to see something that symbolically deep be an episodic work, but I will never read it again. It was just too much.
Romance of the Three Kingdoms is the same way, but I love that George enacts that one too in his own way. But yeah, the Chinese classics, they're good, but they are dense, and you need like crib notes just to help you follow along, because there are so many times you were like, who is this guy again? Why was he important?
Usually when you have something that's translated, it's going to need a lot of footnotes.
Yeah, you need help.
It's clear that the authors got into that every once in a while, like, wait, did we already do this guy? That kind of stuff. Like, it's just so long over the course of how many years.
Why don't you do Chem there, Sean?
Yeah.
Oh, which one is Gorzat?
Asked Chem.
Is he the rabbit?
Behind the rabbit. It is the rabbit.
I'm getting
bones.
I'm getting Lenny. Or I'm getting Lenny from Of Mice and Men here.
I just thinking of Timothy and Enchanter.
But Chem
you
rhymes
would
with Lem.
would
Chem
Tim.
is a big guy. Chem is a big guy. Rhymes with Lem, and he's him asking about a rabbit makes me think Lenny from Mice and Men.
Mm.
Pudding
You
face?
also are Inkpots.
Setting pots.
The rabbit's not fool enough to send light horse against longships.
The rider had heard enough. I shall inform Garzak Zoaris that you refuse to carry out his order, he said stiffly. Then he wheeled his golden horse around and galloped back the way he'd come, chased by a gale of sellsword laughter.
That's awesome that they're literally laughing at the guy as he rides off.
Oh, Inkpots was the first to let his smile die.
Enough,
He said, suddenly solemn.
back to it. Get those horses saddled. I want every man of you ready to ride when Ben gets back here with some proper orders. And put that cook fire out. You can break your fast after the fighting's done if you live that long.
His gaze fell on Tyrion.
What are you grinning at? You look a little fool in that armor, half-man.
More fool's motley symbolism for Tyrion. And when he is a fool, he's got the half and half thing. I'm not saying that he's a chimera. Actually, yes, I am saying that. Better to look a fool than to be one, the dwarf replied. We are on the losing side.
The half-man's right, said Jorah Mormont. We do not want to be fighting for the slavers when Daenerys returns. And she will, make no mistake. Strike now and strike hard, and the queen will not forget it. Find her hostages and free them, and I swear on the honor of my house and home that this was Brown Ben's plan from the beginning.
That's pretty, like, I love this opportunism, because they all know it's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter what happened in the past. If we whoop up on the enemies here, like, we'll be back in good graces. And both Jorah and Tyrion want to be on Dany's side. Like, the battle is trending in her favor. They're right about that. But they are both predisposed. Like, Jorah, obviously, you know, and Tyrion is fascinated with dragons. He wants to meet Dany. He wants to meet the dragons. Like, that's what he's been thinking about it the whole way here. So, yeah. We were always, yeah, that was it was a double deep cover. So out on the waters of Slaver's Bay, another of the Carthene galleys went up in a sudden whoosh of flame. Tyrion could hear elephants trumpeting to the east. The arms of the six sisters rose and fell, throwing corpses. Shield slammed against shield as two spear walls came together beneath the walls of Meereen. Dragons wheeled overhead, their shadows sweeping across the upturned faces of friend and foe alike.
So, a galley or a galleon, you know, it's also a coin, a golden coin. So, and we've seen both golden coins that have dragons on them and ships compared to dragons. So going up in a whoosh of flame here, thinking of a few things, like one, you think of a golden coin on fire, that looks like the sun. So, you know, the sun out on the waters of Slaver's Bay, that's depending on the time of day, that's morning star or even star, or you know, sunrise or sunset. When you see the sun, when you see a star coming over the horizon and there's a body of water there, it looks like it's coming out of or going into the water. So this is fantastic symbolism. I believe it's also the morning, isn't it? If we're going by the Barristan chapter. So this is a, you know, rising dawn symbol that we're seeing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking penny is a sun symbol too.
Right.
The sun was a white hot penny in Tyrion's Battle of the Blackwater sort of dream too.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
Dragons wheeled overhead, just like the Draco or Ice Dragon constellation wheels because of where it is, you know, in relation to our...
Shout out to the Big Dipper.
Up at the pole, right?
Polaris, yeah.
Inkpots threw up his hands. I keep the books. I guard our gold. I draw up our agreements, collect our wages, make certain that we have sufficient coin to buy provisions. I do not decide who we fight or when. That is for Brown Ben to say. Take it up with him when he returns.
By the time Plumm and his companions came galloping back from the camp of the girl general, the white dragon had flown back to its lair above Meereen. The green still prowled, soaring in wide circles above the city and the bay on great green wings. Brown Ben Plumm wore plate and mail over boiled leather. The silk cloak flowing from his shoulders was his only concession to vanity. It rippled when he moved, the color changing from pale violet to deep purple.
Wait, isn't that a band?
Yeah. Fire in the sky. Ba-da-da. He swung down from his horse and gave her over to a groom, then told Snatch to summon his captains.
Oh, that's a clever, you know, the whole Azor Ahai Nissa Nissa procreative version of it. Hand it and gave her over to a groom. He's giving the bride away.
Oh, huh. I've been wondering about Snatch this whole time.
I don't know
if George is hip to that slang. I mean, he's talking about the deep-throated war horns, so...
Well, I was thinking more like the Guy Ritchie movie, but yeah, no, I'm hearing it now.
All the captains are following Snatch. I mean, that checks out. Tell them to make haste, added Caspario the Cunning. Tyrion was not even a sergeant, but their Syvas games had made him a familiar sight in Brown Ben's tent, and no one tried to stop him when he entered with the rest. Besides Caspario and Inkpots, Ulan and Bokoko were amongst those summoned. The dwarf was surprised to see Sir Jorah Mormont there as well.
Can I hand Brown Ben off to you, Tim, and I'll take Jorah.
Oh, sure.
I haven't figured out a Brown Ben. I have a Jorah.
Switch.
Okay. I gotta think of how would Brown Ben Plumm?
Brown Ben is he's cultured and tricksy.
Yeah, he's from all over Essos.
He's well traveled. He's very clever. The dragons like him.
We are commanded to defend the wicked sister, Brown Ben informed them. The other men exchanged uneasy glances. No one seemed to want to speak until Sir Jorah asked.
On whose authority?
The girls. Sir Grandfather is making for the Harridan, but she's afraid he'll turn toward wicked sister next. The ghost is already down. Marcelin's freedmen broke the long lances like a rotten stick and dragged it over with chains. The girl figures Selmy means to bring down all the trebuchets.
Okay, what's going on in that paragraph? So the thing that stood out to me, the ghost is already down. Like, are we talking about Ghost and John and stuff here by any chance? The rotten stick, breaking the rotten stick, dragging it over with chains. What's going on?
Okay, so they're knocking down all the ghost is one of the trebuchets. They're knocking them all down. The girl is the Yunkish commander, but what was her deal again?
Well, we've got broken. Marcelin Friedman broke the long lances. So once again, we're seeing lances aren't swords, but it's the same idea. We've got broken swords here. So this is a Lightbringer forging attempt. We are on the edge of the Skahazadan here. So forging in water.
Keep an eye on Ghost if they say anything about it again. Talking about dragging down in chains, that could just be death symbolism.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. The ghost is already down, as in the ghost is in the underworld, and dragged it over with chains kind of contributes to that.
Pick it up with Jorah.
Okay.
It's what I'd do in his place,
Sir Jorah said.
Only I would have done it sooner.
Jorah can't help himself.
I'm better than Selmy. I was trying to tell them the whole time. Okay.
Why is the girl still giving orders?
Inkpot sounded baffled.
Dawn is come and gone. Can she not see the sun? She is behaving as if she was still the supreme commander. If you were her and knew that Pudding Face were about to assume command, you might keep giving orders too.
One is no better than the other, Caspario insisted. True, said Tyrion, but Malaza has the nicer teats.
The crossbows is how you hold the wicked sister,
Inkpot said.
Scorpions, mangonels, that's what's needed. You do not use mounted men to defend a fixed position. Does the girl mean for us to dismount? If so, why not use her spears as slingers?
Kem stuck his pale blonde head inside the tent. Sorry to disturb, my lords, but another rider's come. Says he has new orders from the Supreme Commander.
Brown Ben glanced at Tyrion, then shrugged. Send him in.
In here? Kem asked, confused.
Here is where I seem to be, Plumm said with a trace of irritation. If he goes somewhere else, he will not find me.
Out went Kem. When he returned, he held the tent flap open for a younkish nobleman in a cloak of yellow silk and matching pantaloons. The man's oily black hair had been tortured, twisted, and lacquered to make it seem as if 100 tiny roses were sprouting from his head. On his breastplate was a scene of such delightful depravity that Tyrion sensed a kindred spirit. So, remember earlier when he was talking about Tywin's army unfolding like a rose with iron thorns? So here we have black roses. Similar idea.
He also went into a lot of detail talking about Tywin's armor. And now that's the first thing. His breastplate was a scene of blah, blah, blah. He's talking all about the armor again. A
kindred spirit to Tyrion, so he's an honorary Lannister, and he's in yellow. all in yellow. So yeah, there's some sort of, he's an honorary Tywin or an honorary Lannister or something going on here. I think this also could be Tyrion eating his twin in the womb symbolism, because he's a kindred spirit, and Tyrion's going to take the breastplate. He's going to wear his breastplate. That's like stealing his body, kind of. So,
well, and I tend to think that the prophecy about the Valonqar has to do with Jaime killing Cersei, not Tyrion. Mm-hmm. So you want to talk about like a twin eating another twin.
Yeah, which is another part of Chimera theory, that, the Lannister tendency for twins potentially helped create that situation. But yeah, and it's just a parallel in general. If Jaime kills Cersei and Tyrion ate his twin, then yeah, same idea. Yeah. And also Jaime has Tyr symbolism because the wolf ate his hand, quote unquote, and then Tyrion is named after Tyr. So they are sort of parallel.
Okay. The Unsullied are advancing toward the Harpy's daughter,
the messenger announced.
Bloodbeard and two Giscari legions stand against them. Whilst they hold the line, you are to sweep around behind the eunuchs and take them in the rear, sparing none. This by the command of the most noble and puissant Morgar Zo Zerzen, supreme commander of the Yunkai.
Morgar? Caspario frowned. No, Gorzak commands today.
Gorzak Zo Eraj lies slain, cut down by Pentoshi treachery. The turncloak who names himself the Prince of Tatters shall die screaming for this infamy. The noble Morgar swears.
Brown Ben scratched at his beard. The windblown have gone over, have they? He said in a tone of mild interest.
As if this is clearly the thing that pushes him over here. Like, he was thinking about, he's like, oh, they can see which way the wind is blowing too, those windblown. Yeah.
And then he's also like, who else is up? And who leaves that on our side? Bloodbeard? No, he sucks. I'm going to join with the Tattered Prince.
Tyrion chortled, and we've traded Pudding Face for the Drunken Conqueror. It's a wonder he was able to crawl out of that flagon long enough to give a halfway sensible command. So Tyrion is the Drunken Conqueror. He crawled out of a wine cask and is now giving commands. The Drunken Conqueror, so that's an Aegon the Conqueror reference. Nice.
Yeah, but Tyrion, unlike this guy, that sounds like Tyrion is a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah, I'd probably put him there. Yeah. He does seem to be able to hold his liquor. Like, he drinks heavily and still is kind of operative. So yeah, that checks out.
The Yunkishman glared at the dwarf.
Hold your tongue, you verminous little...
His retort withered.
The insolent dwarf is an escaped slave,
he declared, shocked.
He is the property of noble Yezen Zokagas of hallowed memory.
And that's the yellow whale, the guy who always peed himself. You are mistaken. He is my brother in arms, a free man and a second son. Yezen slaves wear golden collars. Brown Ben smiled, his most amiable smile. Golden collars with little bells. Do you hear bells? I hear no bells.
I hear no bells.
I didn't hear no bell.
Hey, ref, I didn't hear no bell.
I also like it as jingle bells.
Oh, yeah, and Jingle Bell, Aegon Frey was a fool, and Tyrion's a fool who wears motley.
Yeah, we just had the Drunken Conqueror, so...
Right.
Yeah.
And also, sleigh bells ring, are you listening? Like, do you hear bells? No.
Yeah, and Tyrion may as well be a Yule lad with how mischievous he is.
All Odins are Yule lads. Hashtag not all Odins.
That's you. That's the messenger. Callers.
Oh, okay. I was getting confused.
Collars can be removed. I demand that the dwarf be surrendered for punishment at once.
That seems harsh. Jorah, what do you think?
This.
Mormont's longsword was in his hand. As the rider turned, Ser Jorah thrust it through his throat. The point came out the back of the Yunkishman's neck, red and wet. Blood bubbled from his lips and down his chin. The man took 2 wobbly steps and fell across the Sivas board, scattering the wooden armies everywhere. He twitched a few more times, grasping the blade of Mormont's sword with one hand, as the other clawed feebly at the overturned table. Only then did the Yunkishman seem to realize he was dead. He lay face down on the carpet, in a welter of red blood and oily black roses. Ser Jorah wrenched his sword free of the dead man's neck. Blood ran down its fullers.
So, I mean, I broke this down in the Tyrion video, but it's just super duper obvious Lightbringer forging symbolism. Even Oathkeeper, they remark on the fullers. They talk about the fullers pretty heavily. And here the fullers are drinking the blood. So it's a blood sacrifice. And then we see that the dragon piece has also taken the blood sacrifice. So it's just like twin symbols, Lightbringer and the dragon, both receiving the blood sacrifice and being created or born or reborn or something like that.
It's also the second forging.
What's
This
that?
is the second forging. You were saying that this guy is an honorary Lannister. That makes him a lion. So this is the second forging in the heart of a lion here.
Yeah, he's all in yellow, so that makes him an obvious sun symbol or lion symbol. Yeah. And the scenes of depravity also just give you the sex and swordplay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The white Sivas dragon ended up at Tyrion's feet. He scooped it up off the carpet and wiped it on his sleeve, but some of the Yunkish blood had collected in the fine grooves of the carving, so the pale wood seemed veined with red. All hail our beloved Queen Daenerys. Be she alive or be she dead. He tossed the bloody dragon into the air, caught it, grinned. We have always
been the Queen's men, announced Brown Bread Plumm. Rejoining the Yunkai was just a plot.
And what a clever ploy it was. Tyrion gave the dead man a shove with his boot. If that breastplate fits, I want it. So this is, you know, not only does he pick up the white dragon, he tosses it into the air. So he's like making the dragon fly. That's, like I said, if Tyrion rides a dragon, we're going to look at this and be like, this was our last clue before it happened. This was the obvious clue. But I guess why do we have the weirwood symbolism here with the dragon?
Well, because the dragon bond is essentially a bastardized version of the Greenseer skin changer bond. So when at some point it has to be a werewood crossover. It has to be a crossover of gaining Greenseer powers, maybe crossbreeding with children of the forest. However it works out, at some point they have to get a hold of that power in order to be able to bond with dragons. And again, like, you know, we talk about the Targaryens, the dragons they rode were their kin. So like Tyrion wants this guy's breastplate. It was a kindred spirit. We're sacrificing him. So this guy is like symbolically going into a dragon that Tyrion will ride.
And I think you could look at him as a Victorian symbol because of the yellow and black coloring, because of the black rose, like Victorian's was pricked. His hand was pricked by the Rose Lord. What was the other thing? There was something else too.
That he has in common with Tyrion?
Victorian. Because when I was thinking about Victorian going into Viserion, Viserion is up in the sky eating corpses. Okay? And then the dragon here, the white dragon, drank the blood of this guy. So it's strongly implying that the white dragon's going to accept some sort of blood sacrifice. And what I was saying is that that's going to be a Victorian blowing the horn and accidentally spirit stuffing himself into the white dragon, because that's what's going to allow Euron. You didn't see this video, Sean?
Yeah. No, this is the part where Tyrion becomes the sacrifice and becomes the dragon, as opposed to the rider.
So I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think does that make sense to you? You think Tyrion's going to die?
No. Sorry, Victorian.
Okay.
Did I say Tyrion?
Yeah. Oh, Victarion and Tyrion, they do have the same name almost, don't they? And that might be part of the idea here, like, yeah. So there is a traffic jam here. Like the foreshadowing seems to indicate that Tyrion would ride this dragon, but this is also definitely the one that Euron's going to steal. So will there be a sequence here? It'd be funny if Tyrion's on the dragon when it gets called back to Old Town. He has to fly all the way back to Old Town. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Well, we brought this up last week, but in Victarion is Aerion, as in Aerion Bright Flame, who drank the wildfire trying to become a dragon, and he was burned from the inside out instead. So we already know that happens when you blow the horn. So Victarion blowing the horn, burning from the inside out, and becoming a dragon is kind of a nice extension of that.
And the idea of a drinking horn gives you the drinking implication. Blowing the horn is like drinking from the horn, so it's like drinking wildfire. Yeah, it's similar.
And you're drinking black blood, and so we have tar built right into Victarion's name. But I've talked about tar before as a prefix in Tolkien. Mm-hmm. So you have the Númenórean kings, Tar Menildil, Tar Ecthelion, all of them, and tar means two things. It means across in the context of across a body of water, like usually across the sea, and it means tree. So here we are, the werewood dragon, a tree dragon, tar in his name, and he is, of course, across a body of water in Essos when he becomes a dragon.
And then the other thing is that hang on. Bloodraven. He is a white dragon who's hooked up to the weirwood. So when it's a recurring motif that he's doing with a white dragon and a white tree. Now, the white tree is like a dragon. It does eat people. It's got a big, monstrous, bloody mouth, and it eats people. Its roots are like grave worms and milk snakes. So it's a very snaky dragon tree, the weirwood. So I'm really not sure what George is trying to say, other than Azor Ahai the dragon went into the weirwood net, like on the deepest level. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is George saying that Bloodraven's going to interfere with this and help Tyrion ride the dragon.
Maybe. One idea that I've always played with, and I don't know how this looks now, but one idea that I played with in the past is that Azor Ahai, meaning fire dragon, Azor Ahai literally becomes the dragon, and that is the dragon that the last hero rides in order to fight the others. So like Azor Ahai being fire dragon, like, yes, he was a dragon. He was, a dragon-blooded, Empire of the Dawn person who went into a dragon, and dragon riders ride their direct relatives. So we've always, I think we're all sold on the idea that the last hero or Lightbringer, or however you want to look at him, is related to Azor Ahai. Either, the son or something. Yeah. Some type of relation. Foster son, hard to tell.
Addressing the train wreck of who's going to ride the white dragon when, if it's going to get stolen by Victarion and Euron with the horn, essentially, it almost seems like Tyrion needs to ride it first. So like Tyrion might ride the dragon here in Meereen, and then it might get snatched out from under him or something like that. So this could be something that's happening pretty soon in Winds of Winter. And that could be why George is foreshadowing it so heavily here, because like in 3 or 4 chapters, it's going to happen.
The way I kind of see that playing out is that Tyrion doesn't actually get to ride the dragon, but he starts to bond with it. And then it's stolen.
That could be interesting.
We saw a clumsy version of that done in the show where he's the one who has the balls to go feed the dragons. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what happens, and we kind of get across of like, does it have to be a relative of yours, or can you just like Nettles start feeding them lambs? But it's kind of that issue where he's starting to bond with the dragon, and then all of a sudden, dragon's gone.
Yeah, because he could just land on the battlefield, Tim, and everyone runs away, and Tyrion doesn't. He's just like enraptured by the dragon, and it just stares at him, and then he like approaches it or something. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah. See, where my mind's going is because of this line about the red blood and the oily black roses.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in chat was saying, so does that mean blood sacrifice creates oily black stone? Well, if we go back to where the oily black stone comes from our Lovecraftian roots, the first time the words oily black stone are used is not actually in Lovecraft. It's actually in Robert E. Howard, the creator of Conan, his story, The Black Stone. Lovecraft lifted that from him. In the black stone in question is a sacrificial altar. The black stone makes a sacrificial mount. A child sacrifice is made, and that is how the cult in that story summons their toad god, Sithagwa. Now, we are lining up a lot of sacrifices right now going into the Winds of Winter. We talked about Victarion as a potential sacrifice. Jon has been killed, but this could be could be seen as a sacrifice to the others if he gets whited, and then Melisandre has to wrestle him back. Dany burning the calls can be seen as a sacrifice. But then the big one is Euron. Euron is doing this blood magic maelstrom at Old Town. Him ascending the High Tower, which is built on a base of black stone. Euron will probably have to make a big sacrifice. Old Town itself could be a sacrifice. Or the other way I see this envisioning is Euron's line of, how do we know we fly unless we take some great leap? I've often thought about the idea that Euron may symbolically sacrifice himself by leaping from the High Tower. And that is when Viserion shows up. And it's like, oh man, that's total evil action hero if he jumps off the High Tower taking his great leap, and that's when the dragon swoops in and catches him. Seems kind of tropey, but at the same time I could totally see George doing it.
Well, and something that I've talked a lot about is the commonalities between the Dothraki and the Ironborn. How basically the Dothraki are just Ironborn on land. They're reavers, raiders. They sexually assault people. They enslave people. All of that kind of stuff. They both have goats everywhere, which is kind of an interesting detail. There's a herd of goats following the Dothraki.
The Dothraki are like pirates of the Dothraki Sea. I see that.
Right. So one of the stories we get is with a character named Euron, right? Euron, bad brother, and he kills a bunch of people at Naga's ribs, right? Mm-hmm. So Dany killing the Khals and then becoming the leader is going to be exactly the same as that. Dany killing the Khals and then becoming the leader, the Call of Khals or whatever, and taking over the Dothraki, killing them all in a tent at the same time at what was a King's Moot. It's going to look a lot like a King's Moot. And if you look at the Mother of Mountains and Vaes Dothrak, the place where they were all put together, they put that all up day of, right? Like they built out of straw and wood and all that. So it's essentially, the living version of that. The Kingsmoot and Naga's ribs, those are weirwood, petrified weirwood. So we're going to make a tree fort essentially and murder a bunch of people in it. And Dany's going to take over as the Call of Khals. So, to kind of bring that back to, Robert E. Howard and the Black Stone and all that, that's it's not even something that I would say Lovecraft lifted from Robert E. Howard. Robert E. Howard certainly wrote about it before, but that's a real world phenomenon as well. And not even just black stone, but also specifically black meteorite stone. Yeah. So like we have, the Egyptians, they had a Nedjeri, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, but it's a type of little dagger, a curved hooked dagger that you slit people's throats with in specific rituals, and also that you were supposed to, open the mouth of the dead and some other, more symbolic stuff. But they were literally made out of black meteorite.
Yeah,
I'm lost. What are we talking about?
So
how the black stone is created?
No. So like the idea of like so we had the chat bringing up oily black roses. So Tim started going into kind of the origins of it as like a Lovecraft theme and as a Robert E. Howard theme.
As a sacrificial altar.
Right.
Oily black, specifically those three words in that order, oily black stone, is a sacrificial altar in its first appearance.
Okay.
And we should always think of it that way. And we get all of it, like an entire city of it at Ashai. And that is basically what happened. If you look at like an entire city of people killed by a meteor impact coming down, those people were all sacrificed. And then you have the reason why it's oily black roses here and not oily black stone is because when that meteor comes down, that impact comes down, you get the fallout in the air and it rises like a smoke cloud, like whatever, and then makes the whole place look exactly like Mordor, which has the atmosphere choked with debris from the active volcano, ash from Mount Doom.
Okay, I've been holding on to a different thought this whole time, so I'm going to switch the subject up. I'm also kind of lost. So
Okay.
I do think the black stone is associated with blood sacrifice. That makes sense, and that's what this whole chapter is about. But it's a little bit of a tangent from the main thing of what's going on here. So Viserion, people in the chat were talking about, I thought Viserion already has a spirit in him or her, because of course we have these sacrifices that Dany performs to give life to the dragons. Drogo, Rhaego, Mirri Maz Duur. Maybe you count Viserys, because Viserion's named after Viserys. We're not sure how long the sacrificial life mana stays in credit on account before the bank reclaims it or whatever, but there might be a spirit already in Viserion. Now, if Victarion blows the horn as he wants to, he's going to go in Viserion, I think. I think that's what it's being implied here. And again, the white Sivas dragon accepting the blood of this yellow and black messenger. Victarion is a messenger for Euron. I think that was the other one I was thinking about. And a captain. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's a captain and a messenger. So that's Victarion both.
And he's wearing yellow and black because of the Greyjoy colors. Right,
Greyjoy colors. And so the question becomes, how many spirits are going to be in Viserion? Is it going to be a whole party in there? Well, Viserion is flying around eating corpses. So it's kind of telling you, like, maybe that's George saying, like, yeah, Viserion is collecting sacrifices, whichever one went into him to create him or her. Again, we don't know. Because as I learned from Glidus yesterday, that reptiles don't have external testicles. So you can't just look under the dragon's skirt and know. That's why it's a mystery, potentially. Until one of them lays an egg, and then they're like, that's a female. In any case, Viserion is flying around eating corpses, and so yeah, maybe we're maybe Euron will end up in there too. It'll be a party.
So I see a few things here. One, I see the idea that you've put forward a lot where it's an eviction. The others are evicted from the werewood net. Viserion is like a giant werewood tree, like a giant iteration of the werewood net. So,
hold on. That would make sense why he's collecting multiple souls if he's doing a weirwood parallel. Go ahead.
And then, of course, we have Victarion blow the horn, and he goes in, Euron rides, and they essentially evict all of the souls in the werewood net for Victarion to take over and be the dragon. It's Victarion. As a classic Azor Ahai figure, he has the red right hand and everything, just like the.
So I have so many light bulbs in my head going off, and it's hard to decide if I should say them now or hold them for the Forsaken. But one I do want to say is, so if it comes to evicting, and you had just said, like, Dany offered up, there was Rhaego, Drogo, Khal Drogo, and Mirri Maz Duur. Now, when it comes to sacrifice, it seems like, and this is the problem I see Euron running into, is it seems like sacrifices here need to have meaning. That's why, like, in the Scrap Tyrion chapter of Fagon's history lesson, like, why didn't Meleys hatch dragon eggs after giving up his son? And it's like, well, because if you willingly sacrifice, then probably doesn't have meaning. Sacrifice needs to be hard. It needs to have meaning to you. But what does that mean to someone like Euron who values nothing? That's why I see him jumping, because the only thing he values is himself. And it goes back to his conversation with Victarion, where he tells Victarion the dream, and Victarion says, well, there's the window, go jump. So Victarion then ending up in the dragon and being the one to save him, like, that just, that's funny. It's like, you're the one who told him to go jump, and then when he finally does jump, if you're the one who unwillingly catches him, that's just another kick in the face for Victarion.
And I do think that if Victarion goes in Viserion, he's not going to be in charge. He's going to be like Hodor in the corner. Go ahead, Tim.
But the other thing I was saying is that when it comes to sacrificing, needing to have meaning, obviously Drogo had meaning to Dany, Rhaego had meaning to Dany, Mirri Maz Duur, there may have been a love for her at a time, but not in the moment that she burned her. But there was a begrudging respect.
There's a strong emotional connection between them.
But because it's not so much love, it probably means that Mirri Maz Duur would be the easiest soul to evict of those three, which makes me think that Rhaego is Rhaegal, obviously Rhaegar, and then another reason for Rhaegal named for both Rhaego and Rhaegar. And then, of course, the Rhaegar connection being probably meaning that Jon will ride him. And Drogon being Drogo, the stallion who mounts the world. If that leaves Viserion having the Mirri Maz Duur soul, probably the easiest one to kick out, because that's the one with the least love lost.
I like to think about it as a crowded apartment roommate situation. That's more funny to me. But you could be right, Tim.
So I see a few things here. One, we have Viserion is going to be a knight's. It already is a knight's queen figure, a lot like Vhagar. And when we look at Viserion eating corpses, we should be thinking of things like, and sorry, gross, but we should think of Cersei eating up Robert's heirs. And at the time she's talking about it,
the
Robert's
Pale
already
Princess.
dead.
Yeah, there are others.
Right.
Yeah, other babies.
Yeah, so they're babies of a dead king, and dead babies, blah blah.
The Green Man, the Green Man King. Yeah, his Pale Princess, right?
Yeah, and of course, Melisandre being like a fiery version of the Night's Queen, taking Stannis' heirs and turning them into shadow babies, which is essentially turning them into dead babies of a different kind. So that is what Viserion is doing from kind of a gross perspective here, which is how you make others, which is kind of, it's pretty perfect for a Night's Queen. She's, Viserion's going to eat a bunch of corpses and then become, the standard bearer for the others as Euron rides. But one thing I wanted to draw attention to is Mirri Maz Duur is probably a comic book reference as well. You've gone over the Mirri Maz Duurga, the definite implications there are there with her being kind of team symbolism with Dany, where they together are kind of not Shiva, Kali. And the other implication is Mirri Maz Duur as Mirror Master. Mirror Master was a villain in Marvel Comics. We definitely already know, George knows about. He's talked about Mirror Master.
You made Tim stroke his beard thoughtfully.
So Mirror Master, what he does is he puts these magic mirrors up everywhere, and people go through them like portals into an other dimension, and he tries to get them lost. And he's a Flash villain mainly.
DC, that's DC.
Oh, sorry, it is DC. Yeah, he's a Flash villain mainly, and Flash is DC. Sorry, I shouldn't have said Marvel, but yes, he is. He is a comic book villain, and George knows exactly who he is. He's talked about him before. I misspoke there. Sorry, guys.
You're getting roasted. Roast him, chat. Roast him. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. So I was debating on whether or not to do it, but I guess on Saturday.
We'll bring it up now. We can develop it more in 2 weeks. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a launching off point because it'll come up in the Forsaken, but now it just settled it. So along with the festival, I guess I'm also going to have to read now Tatters of the King, because all this talk of Victarion as an emissary just reminds me of that. Tatters of the King is a King in Yellow story, obviously. It's written by Lynn Carter, who I've talked about on this channel, one of George's friends and editors, the one who gave him his first big break. Tatters of the King was also developed into, so the poem that Lynn Carter wrote was developed into a campaign for the Call of Cthulhu tabletop game, the game that ate George's life. So, of course, George is going to play the game that was adapted from one of his friend's own stories. Well, in Tatters of the King, an emissary goes to meet with the King in Yellow in Carcosa, and he does so by riding a Byakhee. So that just reminded Victarion as an emissary for Euron, who is the King in Yellow, and he gets there by way of a Byakhee, of a corpse dragon. So that's just more, that seems to be more metaphors of, and then of course, I'm not going to spoil the end, but the ending, I think people will put it together. It's like, yeah, Victarion soul is going inside that dragon. Nice. I can't see any other reason.
I was already feeling good. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, just you calling him an emissary is like, wait a minute. I had that light bulb eureka moment.
I see. Yeah, he's a captain and a messenger. Exactly right. And then, of course, the name Tatters is also right here. They mentioned Tatters earlier. He also turned his cloak like Brown Ben. So yeah,
and we just saw one guy wearing black and yellow was sacrificed, and it's the second attempt at the forging of Lightbringer, and then Victarion's going to be doing the same because he's wearing black and yellow. He's got his black Kraken armor and his golden cape, all the Greyjoy colors.
Well, I was just saying, you're muted, Sean, but hang on a second. I was just saying that, when I came up with the Victarion-Viserion theory, I was already pretty good on it, but like all of Tim's added so much more correlation to that. So now I'm feeling like that's definitely going to fucking happen. So
we're definitely going to read Tatters. It's a very short poem, but we're going to read Tatters of the King on Saturday to prep for this.
Cool. So again, that's next Saturday, 6 days from now, on the Grey Waste Tim channel. Link in the description. I'll be sure to be there. That sounds pretty good, Tim. So yeah. All right.
That's precious.
Oh, there's also, just putting out there, I'll have to drop a link later. There's a really good stop motion animation film based off of Tatters of the King, and the way the guy made the Byakhee is just, it's great. It's one. I love stop motion is one of my favorite forms of media.
Yeah, it suits that kind of thing. I think of is it Jason and the Argonauts that was done like that?
Oh, so that's Ray Harryhausen. He was famous for that kind of early claymation. He did Jason and the Argonauts. He did his last movie was the 1983 Clash of the Titans. He did a bunch of Sinbad movies, but yeah, there was an entire era where that was the peak of special effects, and it looks kind of silly now, but it was very interesting then.
Yeah, the chat remembers. The olds in the chat remember. The olds and the cultured youngs. Nice. Very cool. Well, I still think I want to see Rotoscope, A Song of Ice and Fire myself. Get Studio Ghibli on it. And of course, it was the forerunners of Studio Ghibli who did The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Those people became Studio Ghibli. So let's get the band together. And we need whoever wrote those songs, if they're still alive,
They are not. That's Rankin and Bass, unfortunately. They're,
We can just reuse the Hobbit songs. We'll just change the words.
I told you this last time we came up with those. Somebody put together amazing dubstep versions of all those Hobbit and their Return of the King songs.
I forgot about that. You need to send me the link.
I did. I'll send it again.
Okay, send it again.
Wait, do you do Spotify or should I send it on something else?
I don't Spotify, no.
Okay, I'll find it on whatever the other one. Yeah. One of the other ones.
So I just dropped the link in the chat. It's In the Court of the Yellow King by Blue Worm. It's a stop motion animation film based off of Tatters of the King. So it's good. It's good prerequisite for what I'm going to be talking about and what we'll dive more into with the Forsaken.
Yeah, that's like, oh, you're twisting my arm. That sounds really boring. I don't want to watch that. No, that sounds cool as hell.
In the Court of the Yellow King. Is that like the Crimson King?
In the Court of the Crimson King. Ah. I got all the deep cuts, man. I'm still proud of my White House black one. Been waiting for that. So yeah, we've already uncorked a lot of Euron talk, but I will look forward to going all the way with Tim in 2 weeks. So that'll be cool.
And Sean's going to be there for that, right?
What's
I mean,
that?
if you guys are going to go all the way, then maybe I don't need to be there.
No, I want you along. I want you. We need someone to be the Red Oarsman.
We will give you the chair in the corner. You get the cuck chair, Sean.
Oh God.
Left hand. Yeah, the cuck chair goes to left hand Lucas Cod.
Sorry, buddy.
I'll just sit there shivering with my shirt off and a hat on for some reason.
Tim's gonna tie us all to the bed. Okay, let's.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Sorry,
Tyrion's going to choke us. It's going to be a great time.
Terrible. This one definitely won't get demonetized. All right. So where were we?
Tyrion chapter. It was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing is Wednesday, 1 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. East Coast. Me and then Sean for the second half. We will do shamanism, and we're going harder. Like we've approached this topic a few times, yes, but I've got some new stuff. I definitely have learned a lot about shamanism over the last 2 years, so I have a lot more to say. And we're gonna go into a lot of real world folklore that's pretty friggin' interesting, and I'm gonna say Proto-Indo-European at least 5 times. So I know how you guys feel about that.
While I won't be here next Sunday, these two amazing gentlemen will be covering Mercy, which is our Arya chapter, another good one. So we still got plenty of other things to cover before we jump. A lot of work being done in the next couple of weeks.
I think George uses the R word like 27 times in that chapter.
Yeah, she keeps talking about it because that's what she calls her scene. That she's
I'm late for my R word. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna have to come up with a colorful word instead to, avoid demonetization and just to avoid saying that word so many times.
Yeah, I really like the play though. The play is very interesting. Bonobo, the dwarf, and the red hand and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll get into that.
Which is funny because that's like Bonobo is typing ape.
It's yet another Tyrion Monkey King reference. I forgot to put that in there, but yes, it's another Tyrion Monkey King. I had that in the original Tyrion Targaryen essay from 10 years ago. Bonobo, yeah.
Yeah. Mercy's going to get demonetized. Forsaken's going to get demonetized. Dave's going to rely on those holiday contributions. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Chris Mahana, Kwanzaa, whatever.
Sign up for Patreon. Please. Yeah, I've had people saying, are you going to go to Nebula? I don't know what the deal is with Nebula. I might be ready to look into it just to defray, because we're here. So recently we've been hearing about entire channels getting struck, banned, deleted, totally demonetized the entire channel based on AI reviews. YouTube has initiated 12 new AI features since November of this year. Like they are saddling YouTube with AI. In Creator Studio, they are bombarding you with AI. Like when I go in to answer my comments, there's a banner at the top that's like, use AI to summarize the comments. And then under each comment is an AI generated auto response. And even though I've never used those, they waste the electricity to make these responses, to put them on the screen so that I can click on them. Like, just like, oh, it's so easy. I could just click, thanks, bro. Thanks for watching or whatever. But I don't do that because I'm authentic. We come from the real here. And if I answer you, it's me talking and not the AI. Point is, like, YouTube is, they're fully taken by the AI hype thrall, whatever. They're enthralled with it. They're using it. And one of the bad things that's happened is they're using it to auto-detect violations of copyright and things. And we know that YouTube has a piss-poor system for addressing, like, appeals and things like that. So, yeah, it's not likely, but really any one of our channels could get just destroyed at any minute, and my whole livelihood would be wrecked. Like, so I'm definitely looking into ways to diversify Wu-Tang Financial style, So yeah, I'm gonna look into Nebula. If any of you guys have suggestions, then throw them in the comments. We need a YouTube alternate really bad. There just isn't one.
Oh, YouTube bought them all. I have been informed that nobody puts Sean in the corner, so you can keep me out of that cuck chair.
Come on in, Sean. It's Tim's gonna be Tim's show, so we're all,
Yeah, but I need a Lucas Cod, though men do hate him.
All right, I'll.
You'll be Lucas Cod.
I'll be your cod piece.
You'll be my little Lucas Cod.
Side piece cod.
Yeah, it's totally diamond encrusted cod piece.
Yeah. Twitch I've looked into a little bit. I don't know that that's gonna replace what I'm doing here, because they don't put ads in the same way. If I can make myself a little bigger over the next couple of years, then it will be easier for me to migrate to different platforms, because I will have more of an ability to drag people over. Right now, it's a little hard. Like Alt Shift X is on Nebula. He can get a certain amount of people to come over. But yeah, I'll look into all this stuff. We'll figure it out. And in the meantime, we will keep making videos. So I will see you guys on Wednesday, Christmas Eve, for some shamanism in Ice and Fire. Oh, yeah. And with that said, have a good Sunday afternoon, evening. And thank you, Tim and Sean, as always.
Yep. And happy Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy whatever you celebrate.
I believe it is called Yule.
Yule. A Festivus for the rest of us.
Yule.
Yule.
All right, guys. Cheers.